Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cate-Cast, an entertainment podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by
Ahmad
and Sawyer.
To break down how this works, each of us has brought a topic from one of our three categories: movies, TV, or games. And we're each going to spend around 10 minutes on each topic. We're actually changing the format a little bit permanently. We enjoyed our Spider-Man special so much last week that we've decided to, for whatever the third category is going to be for that week, so this week it's games, next week we're going to do movies, and we'll keep going on from there. We'll do a long, broad topic, so it won't necessarily be the special anymore because it's not actually a special thing that we're doing. And if we have a special in the future, it will most likely mean that we're dedicating the entire podcast to something. So
this way, like in the past, where an episode would have only 10 minutes on Captain Marvel, but then do about 45 minutes on Star Trek, or whatever, it would be more even out this way.
Yes. So I'm happy with that change. So yeah, I think it's time to get started with movies. Sawyer, tell us about this Hellboy stuff.
Yeah. So recently, I don't know who dropped it. I think it might have been Entertainment Weekly, or no, maybe it was New York Comic Con. I think it was New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
But the first poster and banner came out for the reboot of Hellboy. I'm not too excited for this film because of the way they treated Guillermo del Toro off of the last one. So, a little bit of backstory here. The first two Hellboy movies, which came out in 2004 and 2008, I believe. Ahmad, the fact checker, take a look at that.
So the first one came out in 2004, second one 2008.
Yeah. And they were both really original films. Despite being based on comics, they're still, I would classify them as original films because you would never seen anything like this before in the movies. They had just fantastic practical effects. Ron Perlman as Hellboy, there's no CGI. It was all, unless he's getting thrown across the city in one shot. Yeah. Like, the actual, costume itself, it's all body paint and prosthetics.
That's cool.
I love Ron. I think he's a really good actor. Ron, and everything he's been in. I want to think of the latest thing I've seen him in. But he's been in obviously the Pacific Rim movies.
Well, he wasn't in the second one.
Well, the first one, yeah. So the second one was an abomination, but yeah. So
that's what I hear.
Yeah.
What's disappointing about this new one is that for years they were talking. So I think it was Universal. Maybe?
Yeah.
It's changed hands, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
But they've been talking for years about doing a third Hellboy movie with Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman. Both of them really wanted to do it, especially Ron Perlman. He really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But Guillermo del Toro had a story in his mind that he wanted to do, and a set budget that it would take to do that. And the studio would not budge on giving him that budget. So eventually, Guillermo del Toro walked away, and since Guillermo del Toro did, so did Ron Perlman, and now we're getting a reboot.
Yeah.
Which I think with that budget, it's not even as big as some other typical superhero movie budgets. If they had given it to him, they would have had a genuinely good film on their hands because Guillermo del Toro does not make bad movies. Now we're getting a Hellboy reboot, which I don't even know who's directing it. That's not somebody big that I know of. And David Harbour from Stranger Things, who plays Hopper, is playing Hellboy.
Interesting.
Now, he does look good in the role. The prosthetics look good. I'm a little biased towards Ron Perlman just because I think he's so great in the role. But David Harbour, I really like him on Stranger Things. I think he'll be good in the role. I'm just a little nervous about getting a Hellboy reboot when they really should have been doing a Hellboy 3.
Yeah.
But the art so far looks cool.
Yeah. Ron Perlman. Perlman. That took me a second there. I saw him recently in Drive. I had seen Drive before, but I rewatched Drive and he was in there. I think he's mostly just like a kind of. He's never really the main actor in any of his roles. He's always just like kind of this on the side or something. But in Hellboy, he's the main character, and I think he does a really good job with them. I haven't seen the Hellboy movies in a really long time though, but from what I remember, I loved him. But yeah.
I haven't seen the Hellboy movies myself, but
he's also in Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He wasn't himself in it. He did. I think it was either motion capture or voiceover.
Yeah.
Or performance capture, not motion capture.
I mean, same difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
If you like superhero movies, check out Hellboy.
Yeah, something different for sure.
Very different.
I know that they've said that it's gonna be more like horror-esque than superhero-esque, which is interesting.
I think this one they're going for more. I doubt this, but I thought they were trying to go more violent. It's probably not going to be R-rated because money.
Yeah.
But it's. I've heard
Venom.
they're trying to go more just kind of, I guess, hellish.
Interesting.
Than they
Yeah.
were with the.
Neat.
It was.
Yeah. So is that?
I'm gonna have to. You see, this is what I always do. When a film comes out like this, I'm gonna probably rewatch both Hellboys just to.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
What we might have with that though is it might diminish your.
Oh, that is
for
true.
This one because
Yeah,
it's
so
just like, oh well, this is not nearly as good as the first two.
So you're right, maybe not. But I mean, they're really fun movies, and I think I might rewatch them.
And the cast is good. You got Mila Jovovich, David Harbour.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody else big who was in
And I
it too.
mean, some of the monsters in there. I mean, come on, it's Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he's some of the stuff he does.
I'm just waiting to see the
his,
trailer.
his concept art. Yeah. But yeah, no.
I'm waiting to see a trailer and then I'll decide if I go opening weekend or not.
Yeah. I think that's always a good way to be about that.
That's what happened with Venom. I decided not to go opening weekend.
Yeah. Poor Venom.
Well, I mean, should have been rated R. Oh, that's a
a whole other conversation.
That's a tangent.
podcast.
Okay, yeah.
So is that everything we have for
that's-
Hellboy?
Just keep an eye on it and check out the first two Hellboy movies.
All right. So we're gonna transition into The Matrix now.
Okay.
Because I love The Matrix. It's a great movie. I think the fact that it ends on a cliffhanger that leads into the two movies after that we got makes it a little bit more disappointing in hindsight. But it's still great. I for a class project, I ended up rewatching the scene where he finally starts actually seeing the code in the Matrix, and when he actually starts just like dominating the agents. It's a great scene. That scene, like all of that scene is
All of The
fantastic.
Matrix is a great scene.
Yeah, that's true.
So The
That's
Matrix
true.
came out in 1999, and
Yeah.
we all know that it was revolutionary with the technology it used, special effects. It won an Oscar for special effects and I believe editing as well. Editing.
I believe so.
And maybe possibly sound, but I don't know.
I don't know about sound.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, and for good reason. Some of the stuff was unseen.
fantastic,
Yeah, some of the visuals.
And they still hold up more than almost 19 years later.
And 19 years.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the second one, but the first one does for sure.
Actually, I would say the first one. Well,
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So the second one.
The second one is perfectly watchable.
Okay, so the second one I never watched just because it looks like the CGI looks like they're dolls. I mean, looks like they're plastic dolls. I mean,
but for the time, it looked really good.
So
and some of the action in the second one is really, really
that
cool.
scene in the Matrix in that park where it's Neo fighting all the Mr. Smiths or Agent Smiths or whatever.
Yeah.
That is actually a really cool fight scene.
Yeah.
And it's all, I think, it's all mostly CGI, but I believe all that like choreography was actually like done motion capture wise, and then imported it.
Wow, it made $742 million.
Wow.
But
Now,
its budget
the
was
Matrix
152.
Reloaded,
Yeah, not the first one.
Matrix.
Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little biased when I say this, but when I first saw the Matrix movies, I watched them all three in like a trilogy binge.
Oh.
So for me,
that changes.
I don't. It's not like the first Matrix is far superior to the other two because I watched them all at once and I thought they were all great. The first Matrix I think is definitely the best one by a long shot.
Yeah,
but I don't think 2 and 3 are nearly as bad as people make them out.
So two is fine. I think rewatching two is fine. I actually really like the scene with the architect towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I just think 3, for one thing, they spend like most of the movie outside of the Matrix, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like you should be in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Also, they spend way too much time on the mech fight at the end.
That was the one criticism I had in the movie was the mech fight felt out of place. It felt like the Wachowskis just wanted to use this new CGI that they had and just let's make a mech fight.
Yeah.
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 So
I think. Well, here's the thing. a film called Dark City came out a year before the first one.
It's a great film.
Okay.
A really good film, and I feel bad for Dark City because The Matrix sort of casted a really big shadow over the Dark City, and Dark City never received the recognition that it should have received because of The Matrix. But I mean, I saw the Dark City, and it was, I think, the CGI, some of the choreography, action scenes, and CGI, and even the plot itself was really good. So if you want to,
Oh yeah, I think aesthetically, Dark City actually is aesthetically better than
The Matrix. Yeah.
The Matrix is a better film and has way better action,
Yeah.
but I think visually, in terms of cinematography and everything, Dark City, and to an extent, probably even the acting, it has better acting.
Better acting.
I haven't seen it, but I don't know if you can be Keanu Reeves as Neo.
Okay.
Well, I love Keanu Reeves.
Yo,
Don't get me wrong.
I don't know if
But
he embodies that role.
Yeah, but the reason why I bring up Dark City is because these two movies always get compared because of how close they came out to like within the time
each other.
to each other, and I feel like Dark City sort of was I don't want to say the originator, at least, with the way it used CGI and special effects in that movie.
Okay, yeah.
And then The Matrix came out. And
to be clear though, these movies would have been in development at the same time.
Yeah.
Like they were not. They were shooting. They probably didn't have similar shooting like principal photography dates because it's just not how principal photography works, especially if you're like a year out between each other from release.
Yeah.
But they were. Probably The Matrix was in post-production when Dark City was released.
Yeah.
Like,
Most of Dark
like,
City is practical effects,
Yeah.
so it didn't. It probably no. I'm not actually on set during all these, but I would feel like having seen both the films, The Matrix probably had a much longer post-production time than Dark City did.
Oh, for sure.
Like probably the post-production for Matrix was much longer than Dark City, but Dark City's principal photography was probably longer than The Matrix. I would have to say.
Also, the twist at the end is
Dark City.
really
Oh,
good,
yeah.
really good twist.
I
feel like I had seen it was kind of cliched because I had seen a similar thing, but I got to remember that was sort of the first time.
And who plays the lead in that again?
I believe it's the actor's name, right?
Yeah.
So the actor is named that's right, John Murdoch. So.
John Murdoch.
Oh, you mean Rufus Sewell?
Rufus Sewell.
Yeah, and Kiefer Sutherland is also really good in it too.
Oh, I forget Jennifer Connelly was in that too. She was really good. Yeah, and she's a good actress too.
Yeah. The film it's worth checking out, and the guy who directed, I believe it was Alex Proyas, who directed it, also did the 1994 The Crow, Brandon Lee.
Yep.
It was, and both of them visually really similar. And I still say I like The Crow much more than Dark City. Mm-hmm. But you can see kind of the similarities between the two and how technically, if you go by like a whole 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of model thing where it's you go The Crow and then you go to Dark City and then Dark City and The Matrix. So technically The Crow is part of The Matrix.
He also came out with iRobot and Knowing.
Oh, okay.
Knowing is a Nick Cage film. I mean, we have to have Nick Cage somehow.
Every episode.
We have to tie it back into Nick.
Knowing and iRobot was 2005.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you mean Matrix Revolutions?
Yeah. So iRobot was 2004 and Knowing was 2008, which is weird because that's when both of those. But 2009. Knowing was 2009.
Matrix Revolutions was 2005. I thought.
2004,
2005.
Huh.
Because they came. I remember
that sounds like a 2006 joint to me. Because
Revolution.
Reloaded came out.
Reloaded
4 years.
After
The Matrix.
Yeah. So Reloaded was 4, right? 2004.
I think
it was 2003.
I know for sure. Reloaded and Revolutions came out within a matter of months of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. It was like.
Oh, that is true.
Because at the end of The Matrix Reloaded, they have a ton of just like a trailer full of random shots from the movie.
Yeah.
And I watched the two of them back to back. And when I was watching them with my dad, I whenever a shot from the trailer would come up, I'd be like, trailer shot.
So both films came out 2003. So
2003. We were close.
Yeah, so The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions came out 2003, which is really weird. I
think it's clear that they knew that they weren't going to be able to top The Matrix. So what they did was they shot 2 movies at the same time, and they were like, let's just release these.
That's one.
I thought almost, now this is probably completely wrong, But I thought originally they had shot it as one movie, but it ended up being.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not
Sort of like an Avengers thing.
Well,
They
like
shot it as
or something like
Avengers
that,
2.
and
or Avengers 4.
3, yeah. Or 4.
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, and Lord of the Rings, that trilogy,
Oh, yeah,
they
that's
shot
right.
all three at once.
Oh, is that right? Huh.
Yeah.
I
Because
didn't know that.
originally, the first one, when Lord of the Rings, this is tangent, but at least the first Lord of the Rings was going to come out in theaters, but they didn't have much faith in it, and 2 and 3 were just going to be put out direct to VHS at the time.
Yeah.
Neat. Interesting. So, The Matrix.
Check
Good
them out.
movie.
Yeah.
I highly recommend the first Matrix movie. Go ahead and watch the next 2. I think
I've never
They're
seen
definitely worth checking out.
I
never
really,
seen
I
that.
really don't. I don't like 3 that much.
Mhm.
I like 2. I just think 3 is like it just falls flat. Like it has a great fight scene at the end, but that's sort of it.
And as another, it's a mixed bag, but I believe you should also check out the Animatrix. Have you guys checked that out?
I haven't seen that.
same
I've heard of
creators
it,
though, right?
but-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Wachowskis. I think the executive produced it. They didn't direct it because I believe it's 6 different anime short films. Not all anime, but animated short films
Yeah.
that all tie into the Matrix universe, and they're all in
Ah.
different animation styles.
Wow, so they have multiple directors.
Yeah,
and
multiple
each
and
one-
multiple
Yeah.
animated styles. So
Yeah.
one of them is 3D
That's cool.
animated, one
Yeah.
is an anime, one's like a watercolor style.
Yeah.
It's really neat, and
Interesting. Yeah.
some of them are not great. Some of them are really good.
I think I might have seen this actually. I have a sort of vivid recollection
I
of
think
it.
the Flight of the Osiris.
Yeah.
That one's really good. It's some of them are really good. Some of them are really bad.
Yeah.
But it's worth checking out because, specifically, if you end up liking The Matrix, the Flight of the Osiris short film is definitely
Cool.
good. And the whole series just came. I believe the whole series, but definitely the first one just came out on 4K.
Yeah. It also
Oh,
has
okay, cool.
Keanu Reeves in it too. So
Keanu Reeves.
Still get Keanu.
Always a plus.
Yeah.
Always a plus.
Always a plus.
Especially in
Also,
China.
say no to the Matrix reboot.
Yeah. Same.
Don't don't do it. Make more Matrix movies, not a
Bring
new-
Keanu back, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
do it.
well, Keanu-
John Wick is basically just like a Matrix reunion, so why not?
I mean, pretty much at this point.
So yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied on the Matrix.
So,
Ahmad, you want to talk about some You Were
Yes.
Never Really Here?
Yeah, it's a movie called You Were Never Really Here. Really good film. Lynn Ramsey. I've been meaning to see this from the same director, directed by Lynn Ramsey, same director from We Need to Talk About Kevin and Ratcatcher. So it's I love the film. I mean, once again, this is another Joaquin Phoenix feature that's amazing, and his acting is just off the charts. I mean, he looks completely different if you take a look at some of his images. He's transformed himself completely. Which makes me I saw this movie over the weekend, and it just made me even more excited for his Joker feature that's coming.
Yeah,
out.
so
'Cause if he's willing to transform himself this much, what's he willing to
For
do
the
for a
Joker.
Joker?
he looks almost
Yeah.
like Mel Gibson in some
Almost,
ways.
Yeah.
almost.
So-
but his
so
whole
this
body's
is-
transformed. It's not just if you take a look at this and her, it's a complete
So-
transformation.
So, does this movie give you hope for the Joker?
Yeah.
Is that what
I mean,
this
I already
is?
had hope before, even
Yeah.
regardless. I
Okay.
mean, it's just because of the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is
Yeah.
on it, but this sort of amplified my hope.
So I mean, you said
So it's the
Joaquin
bo- the-
Phoenix is sort of a.
So he's sort of he's a hired or paid assassin.
Oh, okay.
So and it's based on a book. I hear the movie doesn't really do the book justice, but when does a movie ever do that? I mean,
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
I guess there's a lot of examples,
Ah.
but I think there's some examples, but
That's a
usually
dubious
Usually it's
claim.
not.
Usually it's not. Usually you either have the book fans who are like completely like, this is horrible, I hate this, except for Harry Potter, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, the Harry Potter movies are sort of they don't do the books justice.
They don't.
They're
a whole other
good. They're good
conversation.
movies.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna say they're not good movies, but they don't do the books justice.
Came out 2017. I wanted to see it in theaters. I never got the chance to. Finally got the chance to. This is the first film I've seen from Lynn Ramsey, and I want to see her other movies, especially We Need to Talk About Kevin. This film is, I think
I've heard of that one.
I want to. Okay, yeah. It was compared to Drive, and I want to compare it to Drive because they're different films.
This movie was
Yeah.
compared to Drive.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen some stuff. I've learned some stuff where it's compared to Drive, but I think the only comparison there is just the fact that this movie was at face value could be taken as an action movie, but it's not an action movie at all.
It's more of a character
different.
study.
It's more of a character study than an action movie. Drive was also taking the same way as some sort of like action thriller that was supposed to ensue, but never. It was more of a character.
Well, that's the trailer's fault.
Yeah, that is and then you could blame the trailer. That's a whole. I think that might be that's a conversation.
That's a good conversation.
But that's a good conversation to have. The trailers really do sort of hinder the film. I mean, what
trailer doesn't hinder the film though?
I mean, well, you have really good. So you have really good trailers. If you put together trailers, and you have really horrible trailers like these, where they give you a false idea of what the film is. And but I guess that's how they have to attract.
Like that.
Well, but then you have movies like Mission Impossible Fallout, where the trailer is exactly what the movie is, and it got me super hyped.
Yeah.
Or something like this movie, or Drive, or even to an extent Blade Runner 2049, where it shows it as an action movie, and you get in there, and it's more of like a
sort of character.
I'd say
neo-noir.
There's action in it, but it's more of like a neo-noir or drama.
Yeah, it's like a
or even thriller in some states.
This was a lot more of a drama.
It's meant, the trailers are meant to draw audiences in, so they're gonna focus on what draws audiences in, and the film itself, like they're just focused on making a really solid film.
So one thing I want to say is that I was going to say something. My track of thought is gone. But what do you guys think? Do you guys?
I haven't seen this movie.
Taking a look at the images, it's a really good film. I mean,
some of the framing of these images is really interesting.
Yeah,
especially with the idea that he's a trained assassin.
Yeah, he's a trained assassin.
So
he was okay. So the movie made me want to read the book because from what I read, is the book is a lot better and it goes more in depth. But the movie tries to do it justice. So Joaquin Phoenix we see some like little snippets, flashbacks of him in his childhood. He was abused. His father was, I guess, an alcoholic, and he was abused, and his mother was sort of domestic violence in a way.
Okay.
And he's sort of dealing with that. He's dealing with that as an adult. He was formerly he worked for the government, and I forgot what the title of his thing was, but he sort of...
Was it like a real agency or like a...
Yeah, it was an agency, so I think it was the FBI or something.
Okay. CIA, probably.
CIA, and he worked, and
it's always the CIA.
It's always
and he worked to get the sort of... I forgot the title of the name, but he rescued... I guess people in need, children in need who were in
like orphans,
sort of like
starving kids.
Prostitution, like sort of pedophilia stuff. He would rescue these kids, and he I don't know, for some reason the movie doesn't really go into detail with this, but when he grew up, like he gets out of that and he sort of goes on this sort of assassin thing. On the side.
Is it like about like dark justice? Is that basically what it is?
Pretty much. One of the days he goes, he's too late. And he's too late to save these children, and he walks in and there's just like a dozen of dead kids.
Wow.
And that's when he snaps, and that's when he leaves.
And he just
and then that's when he becomes an assassin. And then
and he just like kills.
Yeah, and he kills the people, and then like sort of. Have you seen Taxi Driver at all?
Kind
of.
I haven't
seen it.
That's it.
Okay, yeah, but kind of like that in a way.
It seems like a mix between and I could be completely off, but a mix between Drive and The Bourne Identity.
Possibly. I don't know if I want to compare it to Drive, but yeah, you're right.
In terms of like just like tone.
Tonally yes, and and the ending, I would compare the ending to Drive. It's not your conventional happy ending, but as with Drive, yeah. I would check it out for sure.
I got confused when you brought this up. I thought this was the one where he pretended to be like a rap star. Now Casey Affleck was in it or something like that.
Was that that was that?
Yeah,
I was
not
the one that got.
Off.
Was it not the one that got like mauled or something? People didn't like
that.
it. People did not. Yeah, but this is completely different. This is a really good film. I mean, I was blown away. I was blown away, and it made me excited. I mean, it made me excited for the Joker. I mean, he completely transformed himself, but it worked out.
I know that you're sort of on the hype train for the Joker.
I am.
I'm not.
I'm on the hype train.
I am cautiously optimistic.
Let's. Do you have anything more you want to say about?
I mean, check it out. Really good film. Joaquin Phoenix, kind of. I think this film is really slept on, and you should check it out.
Will do.
All right. So Ahmad, we're gonna start with you again.
Oh no.
For our TV category.
Oh yes.
Teen Titans.
Teen Titans, original Teen
2003.
2003.
Back when cartoons were awesome.
Yeah, back when.
Well, most of them.
Oh man.
Back when American superhero cartoons were pretty great.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Also before Young Justice.
Yikes, yeah.
I think Young Justice is literally the only thing that's keeping superhero cartoons alive right now. Legitimately. And it's not even alive right now.
Young Justice.
They're like
Disney
getting ready to bring it back to life.
I like Young Justice. Yeah. So we talked
Young
about
Justice is great.
we talked about the original Dark Knight animated show from the '90s, and we sort of touched on the Teen Titans show. What do you guys think about this show?
Yeah, I, as a kid, didn't watch it a whole lot. For me, as a kid, it was always it was on Cartoon Network. Right?
Yeah, Cartoon Network. Yeah.
Cartoon Network. If it was on Cartoon Network, it was the Clone Wars for me. That was always what it was.
Okay.
But I did go back. I watched a couple episodes then. I've watched a couple clips nowadays. I liked the show. I remember liking it, and I've liked what I've seen now. It was just never my big show. I liked the dynamic between the characters. But I liked the voice acting and the art style and everything.
Yeah, so Azra's gonna start crying.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Oh my gosh.
I mentioned the Batman animated show because remember how our discussion was the film touched on pretty.
Yeah,
it was fun.
pretty heavy stuff.
But it touched on pretty heavy stuff. The TV
Yeah.
show. I said film, but the TV show did.
Yeah.
Teen Titans does the same thing.
Yeah, Teen Titans does the same thing.
And it has its light
Yeah.
moments, comical moments, and it also has its dramatic.
You could watch it and you could skip all of the dramatic stuff, and there's some great comedy in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved the sort of the chemistry between Robin and Starfire was always interesting.
Yeah, the Robin Starfire relationship is good.
And then
I want to see the movie again that ended the series.
Oh, the movie! I think if I recall correctly,
the one about where they're in Japan and it's like an ink monster.
Yeah, that made me cry.
I really want to see. I really want to watch that movie again.
Yeah.
So I have the whole series on DVD.
Yeah.
I grew up watching it. I never watched it sequentially, but I would watch it with my dad.
I was introduced to Deathstroke.
Yeah, so this is something that is also interesting because this series is what made me love Deathstroke, which is part of why I love Arrow Season 2 so much, because of Deathstroke.
I always thought the Deathstroke Robin.
Yeah, so that whole thing is
so
so cool.
It was
There's
Did they call him Deathstroke or just Slade Wilson?
Yeah, so he's Slade the whole series, but he's Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
Like it's Deathstroke.
Slade sounds. I mean, either way, he sounds really cool.
Yeah, it sounds really cool, really creepy.
Yeah.
Great villain.
Yeah.
And I love that he basically exits the show for like 2 seasons, but you still feel the ramifications of what he's done.
Yeah.
And then when he eventually comes back, it feels so much more powerful because wow, this guy's back.
Yeah. I really do enjoy it when, I don't want to say children's cartoons because I've already gone on had the same conversation in half the episodes we've been on. But I love it when when animated shows have specifically those directed to kids have one through line story or at least a continuity to them.
Yeah.
Because stuff like SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents, even Jimmy Neutron, there's no overarching continuity.
Yeah.
Stuff just happens.
Yeah.
This show, as you mentioned with feeling the effects of Slade, it seems like there's an actual through line.
Yeah. So
do you remember this episode?
This is a great episode.
Switch. These are
Switch is a fantastic.
So it's the one.
episode.
So if I recall correctly, so it's where they transform into puppets.
Well, so what happens is I don't remember the villain's name, but he's like the puppet master.
Puppet master. It was really creepy.
He's a really creepy villain because he's like a living puppet too. Is like his thing.
Yeah.
But what he does is he sends dolls to the Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is Robin, Cyborg, and Beast Boy all get their souls sucked into these puppets, and their bodies are just somewhere
creepy.
It's so good.
Yeah, really
and then Raven and Starfire, because of this power, have their bodies switch.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting.
I actually
to see.
think I've seen this episode before.
Yeah, you seen it?
It's so interesting because you have these two characters and the voices are still the same Raven's voice actor is playing Starfire as in Raven's body. It's so interesting.
Nevermore, when they sort of go into Raven's sort of world.
Because
like, before then,
all of the stuff that they do with Raven in the show is fantastic.
I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, I think the character that they served the least was Beast Boy. But I really liked him.
Okay, so I'm going to remind you of this character right here.
I mean, yeah.
Do you remember
with
her?
the whole thing with Tara? There spoilers maybe. The whole like sub-romance thing with Tara.
That was a really good film.
Is really good.
Yeah.
But it exists more for Tara's character development than for Beast Boy's.
I want to disagree because I recall vividly some episodes where they.
So I think it teaches Beast Boy some lessons.
No, not this episode. But you're right. It's more Tara,
Yeah.
but I know for a fact there were some other episodes.
Definitely. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I just think the rest of the characters got a lot.
You're right.
More.
Okay. And even Starfire when she went to her she went back home to her planet.
Yeah, Starfire has like a whole 4-episode arc. And the first season is really good.
Yeah, even Cyborg had some. I think I remember there was like a really, really heartfelt episode with him dealing with some more
Cyborg. There's an episode where Starfire goes to the future.
Yeah,
this is like gonna be like a nostalgia trip.
I can tell.
You're good. We're sorry.
But it's there's an episode where Starfire goes to the future.
Yeah,
and you have like the Titans have disbanded.
Yeah,
and it's like Beast Boy is in a zoo cage because he can transform between tons of different animals. So he just like works at a zoo now. Cyborg still lives at Titan's Tower, but like it's like his inner battery died or something. Yeah. So he has to like carry around a power source with him now. Raven. What happened to Raven? It was like
in the episode.
Yeah, like in the future.
Hold on. She was. I remember this episode. Was
she evil?
I was trying to remember it. I don't think she was.
No.
I don't think she was evil. I think she was something. I think she was similar to where.
No, because I know Robin was Nightwing.
Yeah.
And he was the only one who was still fighting
crime.
I
think Raven was a lot more dark and not.
Yeah, I think she was like a loner. She
wasn't approachable. She's not even as approachable.
And Starfire reunites them for one last battle against whatever they're fighting.
Yeah.
And so she goes to the past, and then she goes back to the past.
Yeah.
And she's like, let's never split up again. And it's so good. Like, because it's like you can tell that she changed the future almost.
There's one episode I remember seeing, and it's the one where they go into like TV commercials or something.
Here's the thing. So
Control Freak.
Yeah, Control. Yeah. I love that episode.
It's
the one where
they
go. It's like kind of like a house, and like it's really Control Freak. Right?
Yeah,
that's a villain.
Yeah,
they're sort of running around trying to was it the British guy?
British?
Am I confusing it for something else? So they go into like a fun house.
Because Control Freak is the guy who has like the giant red hair.
This is another one. Yeah. So okay, then never mind. I'm thinking of a different.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. There's an episode where Control Freak like hacks the Titans Tower and he like throws the Titans into the TV, and so they're just like running around different TV scenarios.
Yeah.
That's one of the weaker episodes, I think, just because it doesn't really do anything for anybody.
This was me. I saw this when I was less than 10 years old, so it's been a long time.
I think the one I'm thinking of is they go into this this British guy traps them in his house.
Oh,
and they have to go through a bunch of like school.
Yeah, there's a great episode where this is what Ahmad's talking about. I don't remember the guy's name. But
he's British. That's all.
He's a British guy and he's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And he puts them in this house and they're trying to get out and the whole place is like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's pretty entertaining.
And they go through some psychological.
There's some psychological stuff, but I feel like that episode isn't as good. Just because I don't feel like it develops anybody.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite episodes are all the ones where they talk about the characters themselves.
Yeah.
There's an episode where Cyborg, he is...
I remember there was Cyborg gets gets his body part sort of dismantled. And
Yeah, that episode is
and he was sort of dealing
freaky,
with,
man.
Yeah, and he was dealing with like not being able to.
Like
he was, so
he felt like super violated by the whole thing. It was so interesting.
Well, there was the Gizmo one, obviously. Gizmo would take over his body, but that's.
But I mean, Gizmo is like the whole hive thing.
Oh, that was kind of
cool. Gizmo is just like he annoys Cyborg. But there was
an episode where like his body sort of doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, like he goes to like the mechanic. I don't remember what he calls him, but there's this like really creepy mechanic guy, and he like gives Cyborg an upgrade, and you don't really find out what it is.
Yeah.
I think that ended up being pretty open ended. Actually, I don't remember them actually diving into what it was.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is the episode where all of the male characters and I think it's all of the male characters in the show except for Slade, basically. Like every male character that's appeared in the show so far gets like teleported to this arena where this overlord has them all fight to win a prize.
Why
or something.
Why male? That's kind of sexist.
Well, but then the end of the episode, you find out that like they all go home, and then all of the female characters are transported.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember that one. Okay. Oh wow.
And the whole thing is that they play. What they do is they play Robin and Speedy, the Green Arrow sidekick.
Oh my god! I
They play them as basically the same character the whole time.
That was such a cool.
And
episode.
Robin just wins.
And wasn't Aqualad in it too, or like?
Yeah. Well, so the interesting thing is the Aqualad that we find in the Teen Titans universe isn't the same Aqualad that we have in Young Justice.
Yes. No.
No. So
are they? So, is the question I have is I know the DC animated stuff. There's so many stuff.
Yeah, multiverses and all that.
Is Teen Titans part of the DCAU?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, Teen Titans Go is kind of dubious to that, but Teen Titans Go is sort of in its a continuity of its own.
I mean, they acknowledged the Wonder Woman movie in the ad for the Teen Titans Go movie.
Yeah. So there's that, but no, like Batman, like. People know who Robin is, but I don't think they ever actually say Batman's name.
I mean, obviously in the Teen Titans Go one, they always.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go has Batman in several episodes, I think.
And Titans already referenced Batman.
Yeah, Titans. Yeah. Titans.
So, I mean, as we're talking about Teen Titans, we're gonna have to address that show. Do you guys think Titans has any hope of being good?
So I have an issue with the way that they're doing Raven, because I don't want them to do a possessed girl. I want them to do a depressed girl. There's a severe difference. I think that there's a shot that it's good. I just think I don't know. I think that they did the whole thing at the end of Teen Titans Go where they had like the Titans turning on the recorder thing or whatever, and they're like trying to contact the world or something.
Yeah.
I really hope that means they're bringing back the show.
Oh, they will on the DC.
Well, they had the
universe.
Yeah.
They had the. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen the movie, but I'm talking about the end credits scene. Yeah. I hope. I don't know. I feel like I was excited for this Titans show when it was going to be an Arrowverse show, but not anymore.
Well, theoretically, it could be part of the Arrow multiverse if we find that out in the Elseworlds crossover.
Yeah, but then you can't have a CW crossover with a Robin that says the F word.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't happen. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that happens. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. I think if it did cross over, it'd be those characters coming on to Titans, not Titans coming on to those shows.
I'd be okay with that.
Because, like, I can't see that Robin popping up on the World of the Flash. But I could see Stephen Amell's Green Arrow popping up on Titans.
Yeah. For the longest time, I wanted, like, a Nightwing show, but, I don't know.
Well, that's technically what Titans is probably going to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it could work. They revealed Jason Todd. I kind of hope that means that they're going to do Red Hood at some point.
That's the one thing that bothers me about Titans is the Robin that we have does not feel like Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson is not dark and brooding like that. If they're gonna do dark and brooding, it should have been Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Elephant in the Room, Black Starfire.
Now,
I think
I
they can
hope
make
she
it
does
work.
great. I think they can make it work, and I hope she does great. The problem is that she looks. For me, it's not.
Yeah.
It's the fact that she looks too old. Like nothing against her age or anything. It's just like Starfire. I always pictured because it's Teen Titans. I always pictured her being like this
this
cheery
teenager.
17, 18-year-old
Skinny,
girl.
sort of,
I mean, how old is the actress?
I think it's like 20-something.
Yeah. I mean, I hope she does a great job.
Well,
she
and also
doesn't
the other thing
Starfire
to notice
to me.
is the other thing to pay attention to is that all of these characters are older than they were in the show.
Yeah.
Older than any of them were in Young Justice too. So, I think they can make it work.
I mean, so far the only character that looks like how I imagined they would look is Robin, because it seems like they spent much more money on his costume than anybody else's costume.
They have discussed that the Starfire costume that we've seen in the trailers is not permanent.
Okay.
They're getting a more traditional Starfire costume.
And I assume we're gonna get a more traditional Raven and Beast Boy one.
I hope that they don't do something weird with Raven and Beast Boy's costumes.
Talking about the original Teen Titans makes me want to buy the whole set and just.
I have the whole
to do that
series on
eventually.
DVD.
Do you?
Yeah.
We
should watch it all together.
Could you let me borrow it for honestly? I just
Absolutely.
Honestly, we need to do one big we need to start doing commentaries, because there's so many things that we all haven't seen or want to see that one of us has seen that we could all watch together.
We could all watch together.
Man, yeah.
I mean, imagine doing that back to back, do Teen Titans and Battlestar.
We've gone so long on Teen Titans.
We'll cut this. It's cool. I mean, rightfully so, though. I mean,
great show. We'll talk about it more.
If you haven't seen it, I don't know. But what was your childhood like? Because I would like to know. I'm just joking.
Tell us in the comments.
Describe to us your childhood, please.
No, yeah, but if you have anything to say about Teen Titans, please let us know.
Yeah. But got me.
Really be civil about the whole Starfire thing. Don't go into the whole.
No. Yeah. I mean, be civil on both sides of that issue. By the way,
be civil in general.
Yeah,
be civil in general.
Just be civil.
Yeah,
it's a good life.
All right.
Good discussion about Teen Titans. Let's move into the Star Wars Resistance premiere.
So the first episode of Star Wars Resistance, I believe it was called The Recruit, aired last Sunday. This recording on October 10th.
The 7th.
Yeah, the 7th. I caught it right after the premiere of The Walking Dead, but that's not what I'm talking about. It was okay, I think, the premiere of The Resistance. It's a good start. The first episode of any show, let alone a cartoon on Disney Channel, is never the best episode of the show.
Yeah.
So, how'd you watch this?
So I watched this.
I don't know. That Flash pilot is fantastic.
I mean, there's
You're
exceptions
talking
to the rule.
yeah.
I'm just talking in general, but there are exceptions. Like Walking Dead's pilot is one of the best of the show. But I think so. You asked how I watched it.
Yeah. So I mean, you could cut this out, but how did you watch this? So was it on TV?
On TV, yeah.
Okay.
And I have DirecTV now.
Okay.
So I can.
You could have just watched it whenever.
Yeah. Right. And there's also it was on. I think right now, currently, the first 3 episodes are available on Disney.com or something like that.
The first 3 episodes of Star Wars Resistance?
Yes.
Oh.
And that's counting, because The Recruit was a 2-parter. That's counting it as 1 episode.
Okay.
So there's that episode 2 and 3, but they're still going to air them in order on TV.
Right.
So I'm just watching them on TV because as a college kid, I don't have time to sit down and watch all 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But the first episode was good. Oscar Isaac, still great as Poe Dameron. He's not the main role in the show.
Yeah.
They're kind of. I hope they find the balance in the show, because right now they're juggling between, hey, this is a show about pilots and racing and Star Wars, and then the flip side, it goes into the whole political espionage and trying to hunt down the First Order.
Huh.
So, whereas, for example, Rebels had that balance. It was just, hey, we're rebels and we're going after the Empire. Or Clone Wars, it was just, we're during the Clone Wars and we're fighting this battle.
We're just going battle by battle, basically.
This doesn't seem to be about the Resistance, as in the ones we've learned in the sequel trilogy. It seems to be about a guy who, hey, I'm spying for the Resistance, but my primary thing is I'm racing with this group of racers on, I
want that to be
Castaway.
flipped.
I want it to be like the primary thing is that he's a spy, and the racing thing is like a cover up.
That's how they're setting it up, but in terms
Yeah.
of the focus of at least the pilot episode, we only really get a little bit about the Resistance. Like, the spoilers for the pilot, there really is nothing to spoil about it. The whole pilot is essentially set up and meeting the characters. But they're trying to get some secret intel to General Organa, and Poe comes in and saves them because they're trying to hand off some intel. Poe invites Kazuda Xiono to join the Resistance. He sneaks up and sees a hologram of Leia that doesn't speak because it won't be Carrie Fisher, obviously. And Poe's in there. BB-8. For some reason, BB-8 stays with Kazuda on, I believe the planet's called Castellan.
But he's Poe Dameron's
Yeah,
droid.
it doesn't make any sense.
Why?
I think BB-8's there for two reasons. The obvious reason being to sell toys.
Yeah.
And reason two is because I think Poe says keep an eye on him.
Okay.
So he can relay to Poe if he needs help.
Huh.
But
Interesting.
it's definitely more child-oriented than Clone Wars and Rebels was. It's not as child-oriented as that first trailer made it seem, but it's certainly more child-oriented than Rebels was.
Interesting.
It's worth checking out. I think it's going to get better over time, as both previous animated Star Wars shows did. The art style is not as jarring when you watch it.
Yeah. I've grown to not hate the art style. I just think the costumes look super weird.
The costumes do look weird. It really reminds me of the Iron Man cartoon that aired right after the first Iron Man movie came out.
The XD one.
And also the reboot of Speed Racer that aired on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or something.
Yeah.
I think I remember that one.
It's very, very computer generated, the animated style.
Yeah.
But excuse me. There are certain shots where I'm like, that looks amazing. There's a shot where they completely recreated the Tantive 4, or the ship from the beginning of episode 4.
Yeah.
The one that Darth Vader breaks in trying to steal the plans.
Oh, okay.
They beautifully recreated that ship.
Nice.
And they even address, Poe says, this ship's made it from the Battle of Scarif all the way to the Battle of Jakku. I was like, hey, I got that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's worth checking out. That character Niku, the green alien, even though it's clear for kids, I still thought he was hilarious. It's very much a Pixar style character.
Okay.
And check it out. It's not nearly as
Star
good
Wars
as Clone
Resistance.
Wars. It's not nearly as good as Clone Wars or Rebels, but it's the first episode, so hopefully it gets up to that quality. And don't go in, at least right now, expecting a whole lot of Force and Jedi and Sith stuff. This is not going to have that in it.
But I want that in my Star Wars show.
I'm sure they'll find at some point that Kazuda's going to end up being Force sensitive or something. That's how they always do this.
Can I get a weird Jedi thing with Kazuda?
Or something's going to happen with this because,
I don't know.
or maybe Ezra ends up on the not Ezra,
this
leader Ezra, but Ezra from Rebels.
No, Ezra actually is
He can be Ezra.
Jedi.
I hope it's good, and I hope they tie this into the canon much better than just, hey, we're calling it Resistance, but really it's about pilots on this water planet. I really hope they find a focus.
Yeah,
but
that would be disappointing because I hope that they don't do an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing where it basically spins off into its own continuity.
Yes, I really hope they don't do that, and I really hope this, because this has the potential to be something really, really cool.
Yeah.
And to tie up a lot of loose ends, because currently we know next to nothing about the Resistance in Star Wars canon.
We know nothing about the First Order.
Yeah, well, and spoilers for the end of the episode, you do see Starkiller Base at the end of the episode, and somebody mentions Captain Phasma.
Interesting.
So, it does take place 6 years before The Force Awakens. That timeline, based on how they're setting up the conflict of the show, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I'm sure Star Wars will find some way of retconning or doing something.
Man, remember when The Force Unleashed was canon and it was Starkiller?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Frick, man. They should just remake the Force Unleashed games.
They should.
Those are good games. Stories were kind of weird.
Moving on.
49-20.
Finally gonna get to talk about.
Alright, so we're gonna move into Merlin now. Because I want to talk about Merlin.
Finally.
So anybody who knows me knows that I am a sucker for King Arthur stuff ever since I played Sonic and the Black Knight.
I mean,
I legitimately, I'll say two things about Sonic and the Black Knight. One, it introduced me to King Arthur, basically. I'd heard like Sword in the Stone. I don't think I'd ever actually watched it, but I like heard about it. I knew basic stuff about King Arthur. I knew who Merlin was and stuff. But Sonic and the Black Knight was the first time I was introduced to the knights. First time I was introduced to like Excalibur, all that stuff. Also, best Sonic story, I would say. Best Sonic. I think it's the best characterization of Sonic.
Over Sonic 06? I just had
Don't talk to me.
I had to bring it up.
I will say Sonic 06 gets a bad rap because of the kissing scene at the end.
oh wow, that's infamous, isn't it? I think I've seen it.
Yeah, the rest of literally the rest of the story is actually pretty good if you remove it from that kissing scene. It's just that kissing scene totally invalidates the rest of the story.
Just cancel
it just like cancels it out. But the rest of it is all pretty good. Like some of the writing is actually interesting. Anyways, this is not a Sonic segment.
Anyway.
So anyways, I was interested after I played Sonic and the Black Knight. I read some Arthurian stuff. I fell in love. Oh my gosh, she's watching the... No, don't, no. No, why are you watching the scene?
I'm just curious, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Now, see, just skip to where he actually kisses her so I can keep talking about Merlin.
That is the weirdest sentence of the entire series so far.
You skipped it. Oh my gosh.
Why is this video 6 minutes?
Oh wow, there we go.
It's so weird. Why would you do this?
I mean,
and that's how he gets to
mentioned-
Supersonic, by the way.
You mentioned,
And people Sega wonders why Sonic has become a meme and all this stuff, and then they put that kind of stuff
I don't
out.
think Sega wonders about that at all. They've just embraced it.
We're just never gonna be.
Anyway.
We're never gonna talk about Merlin as a running gag.
So anyways, after Sonic and the Black Knight, I started reading Arthurian stuff. Fell in love. I fell in love with the knights themselves. I've never liked Arthur himself.
So let me ask you.
Actually.
So Merlin this is sort of a backstory to how he became the wizard, right?
So Merlin, the show, I started watching with my family back in like 2013 or something. It's like AU fan fiction for King Arthur is basically what it is, because the whole concept is Merlin is this skinny British kid from a small town that he's like super poor. He comes to Camelot, where Uther Pendragon is still alive.
Yeah.
He comes to Camelot, and he meets his son Arthur, who's the prince right now. Because usually in the Arthurian legends, Uther is dead by the time Arthur comes around. Or not by the time he's born, but by the time he reaches the age to become king.
Yeah.
But Merlin basically becomes Arthur's... Merlin saves Uther and Arthur's life. He saves Arthur's life in the first episode, I think. And as such, and Uther appoints him as the servant, as Arthur's servant, basically.
So this is probably a dumb question, but is this one of those shows like Once Upon a Time where it takes place in modern day?
No.
Okay.
No, it's it actually takes place in medieval times.
Okay.
There's also a Camelot show too.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I can't.
And this is
remember anything
BBC, right?
Only BBC.
Yes,
only
I believe
BBC
it's
would make
BBC.
something like this.
They only have the budget to.
The other interesting thing is that magic is basically the Force in this.
That's what it looks like based off the images.
Because what they do with magic is basically used to move stuff around. They never actually have a battle in Harry Potter where it's flashing lights and stuff like that. It usually comes down to either sword fights or people pushing stuff around with the air.
Yeah.
Is basically what fights come down to in Merlin.
So he's an airbender.
Sort of, yeah.
Except he looks like he's a fire airbender.
I think there are a few instances where they go beyond that, but yeah, it's fun. But the other thing is that they do Uther has outlawed magic for reasons that are explained later on in the series, but Merlin is force sensitive. So he has to embrace his destiny to use magic just because he can.
Sounds like Ray.
Yes, basically. He is very similar to the archetype of character that Ray is.
And to an extent, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know what else to say about it really. I really like the show. It's sort of a goofy BBC take on King Arthur. It ends, I'm just going to say this because it's not really a spoiler. It ends the way that the Arthurian legends end. If you know how it ends, then you know that you're in for sort of a bad ending with Merlin. I think the problem is that all of these characters aren't old enough to actually do the things in Arthur, but they're trying to like cover the whole Arthurian mythos while these characters are all still young. Mm-hmm. So it's like they do some weird things with Mordred and like his origins, and they do some weird things with Morgan Le Fay. So it's cool. They John Hurt as the dragon that Merlin talks to about his destiny is pretty good. John Hurt does a good dragon voice. Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah,
Merlin.
And, this being public domain, that means there's been a lot of interpretations of the Arthurian legends.
Yeah.
Are there any other Arthurian, like, I guess, what's the word? Interpretations that are as good or closer to the source material, similar to Merlin?
So, if there are, I haven't watched them. I will say, you brought up Once Upon a Time.
Mm-hmm.
Once Upon a Time did something interesting with the Arthur stuff. I just think it like fell flat because Once Upon a Time fell flat a while ago.
Upon a Time
I don't really have an answer for that question.
It's not.
The first season is pretty good. The second season is pretty good. The rest of the seasons are like you watch them for Robert Carlyle.
It became your typical ABC kind of.
Because I was always interested in the premise of it. It sounded like when it first came out, I was like, "This sounds."
It's a good first season because it has like a focus.
Yeah.
The second season isn't as good, but it's still like the writing's still up to par.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it is not. I enjoyed what I watched of the next 3 seasons, I think, but I didn't like it very much.
Speaking of Robert Carlyle, you ever heard of Stargate Universe? And this is completely off topic,
No.
but he was on that show and it got canceled after like 1 or 2 seasons and it landed on a cliffhanger. And that's how I first found out about Robert Carlyle. So anytime I see him, I'm like on a TV show. Please don't get canceled.
He was in the running for the 12th Doctor, I think. 11th for Doctor Who.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would have liked that show. Robert Carlyle is the Doctor. Do you know who he is?
Probably if I saw his face,
you'd recognize him.
Yeah. He's great. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about Merlin. It's a fun show. I think it's perfectly worth watching. And there's 6 seasons of it.
Oh yeah, I've seen this guy.
Yeah, he's great. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
He does some really good things with Rumpelstiltskin too.
Yeah.
Was he in The Punisher? I'm probably completely wrong.
What? I don't.
Yeah, I'm probably
I have
completely
no
wrong,
idea.
but
28 weeks later.
not the Netflix Punisher,
Oh,
like
the old one.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Never seen any of the Train Spotting
Oh,
movies.
28 Days Later. That's another
Yeah,
one I know
yeah.
from.
28 weeks later.
28 weeks. That's
Yeah,
right.
but nah, those are some really good. I have to rewatch those just because it's Halloween season.
We have so many things that are like our Cate-Cast list of, hey, we need to watch that.
Yeah, but also like you have to have a discussion on Halloween films, like we said we were.
We need to do a Halloween special.
Like maybe the next 2
We'll
weeks.
do a Halloween special. I don't even know what I'm gonna do for that.
Casper the Friendly
I'm
Ghost.
gonna bring Casper the Friendly Ghost and friggin' Halloween Town from Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
I haven't actually seen.
Not the Halloween Town movie, but the Kingdom
Yeah,
Hearts
exactly.
rendition.
Especially because Halloween's coming out, so we could have a discussion about that possibly.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, what's our
Yeah.
next topic?
All right, so that is it for our normal categories. I'm just gonna put down an hour for you for your time code. Sawyer's our editor.
Yeah. It's
Props to Sawyer.
It's a good time. If you got any suggestions or comments or questions or just want to tell me, hey, good editing job. Let me know.
5 stars. For category 3, games, it's our special topic. I don't even know if we should call it the special anymore.
That's the special.
We're going to talk about the state of gaming in 2018 because we were going to do Game of the Year watch, and then we realized we haven't played that many games that came out in 2018.
Because games cost money, and
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of money.
Well, and for me, it's mostly about, like, what do I want to play?
Mhm.
And it doesn't even really matter. Like, the 2 games that I've played that came out in 2018 that I can really think of are Spider-Man and Mega Man 11. I'm sure there are other things that came out that I played.
Well,
and
we're
Dragon
also-
Ball Fighters I've played too much
We're
of
in
that.
AAA season right now 'cause
Yeah.
of Christmas, so you're going to have your big games coming out in the
Yeah.
next couple months.
So I have a few bullet points that I want to hit. We don't have to go through all of them. We don't even have to go through the first one. But I think the first thing we want to talk about is Fortnite because Fortnite has exploded. I think it is the most influential video game of 2018 by far.
I don't know if it's is it on the downturn now, or is it still?
Well,
is it
That's
still
that. Well, so
I think it's hitting its peak.
okay?
Yeah.
yeah, I think what happens with every game that explodes the way that Fortnite has is it explodes, and then
It implodes.
that's it. It sort of ends. It stays popular, but it doesn't.
There's no growth. It just...
Yeah, it just sort of stays.
Yeah.
Like it plateaus.
Anybody who is interested in Fortnite or thinks they might like it has already played it by this point.
Yeah.
Probably.
And they've yeah.
I
I mean, we gotta first of all, we have to talk about how popular the game was. I mean, you have celebrities playing the game.
yeah.
Over the summer, you had.
Samsung is banking the marketing of the Galaxy S9 on Fortnite.
Yeah. You see those?
Yeah.
You see those trailers? Yeah. I'm like, what is this? It's just Fortnite
Yeah.
dance moves. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Like, most of the
Our
footage
phone
they're
plays
showing on that
Fortnite.
phone
Yeah.
is, hey, we've got Fortnite on our phone.
Yeah.
It's really...
I think when the Nintendo Switch picked up Fortnite, that's when
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is Fortnite's like.
Yeah.
I think they sold Switches just because you could play Fortnite
Yeah,
on
Fortnite
it.
on it.
Yeah.
I think Fortnite has done for Twitch what Minecraft did for YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I think
And it's still doing it for YouTube. I mean, Minecraft is still
Yeah.
being watched on YouTube.
Yeah, Minecraft is basically like its own YouTube subgenre at this point.
Yeah. No, but Twitch. I mean, the only reason why I would first of all, so I'm going to talk about Fortnite. So very watchable. It's if you don't play
Yeah.
if you don't play the game, you can still watch it and it's finding it entertaining just to see what happens with these 4 people or whatever if you're
Yeah.
playing squads or him.
That's like half of the reason Ninja
Yeah.
is popular, I'm sure, because
Yeah.
people just tune in to see what he does.
And probably most of them probably don't even play the game as much
Yeah.
as he does, obviously. But so it's one of those for me. It was one of those types of games where you have to play it like every day to get better. And if you don't play it for a span of time, as you sort of lose the sort of feeling of being able or the sort of ability to build as fast as you build.
Yeah.
Do you guys both play it?
I mean,
I
in the
don't
summer
play
I
it.
played it with some friends just because I only used to play it with friends. I never did the solos because I was trash at them.
Yeah.
It was horrible because up until Fortnite I was so used to sort of a closed map game where like sort of like Counter-Strike or even the Call of Duty game.
And you had your central choke points.
Yeah, so it's and you had your you had a plan. You had a plan each round you'd go the same
You didn't have this map.
Yeah, you didn't have this whole map where so many things could happen. There's so many different possibilities. There's no plan unless you want to keep getting better, and you have to keep playing.
Yeah,
so that was for me.
I haven't personally played it because I don't enjoy multiplayer games, whether they're team-based or on your own, and therefore I haven't really tried the game out. I do enjoy the art style, but anytime a game becomes this big, you kind of run the risk of
everything looking like the game.
Of everything looking like this game, so I'm not getting too invested in, hey, I like the art style, because I know about 30 games that look just like it are going to come out in the next couple months.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No.
I think so.
So let's talk about why it's addicting. Why do people love the game? I mean,
I think it's just that it sort of perfected the battle royale thing.
Honestly, I don't think it's necessarily the gameplay that's making it popular.
What do you think?
I think it's the same reason that Call of Duty got popular and Minecraft got popular. It's children. That's the thing that made them popular. So I'm going to talk about Minecraft and what it did, and then it'll tie us into Fortnite.
Yeah.
So Minecraft was a very niche game. Nobody knew what it was. It was just kind of a PC, online, hinted small release. And then eventually your PewDiePies and people like that started playing the game. Kids are going on YouTube, an iPad. Parents are just saying, here's an iPad, go on YouTube. And they'll find, hey, what's this Minecraft thing?
Yeah.
Kids will find it, hey, that looks cool. It looks like Legos. Parents will get them the game for Christmas or whatever.
Because it's like $10 too.
It's a really cheap game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the game explodes because you'll have your friends come over to your kid's house, and the friends are like, hey, that looks like fun. I want to get that. And then it just spirals out until it's this huge thing.
It's incredibly playable.
And because of the multiplayer, they can play together. I think that's what made Fortnite huge. It's a combination of children who are enjoying this, and the fact that you can play together, and I think that's saying, hey, you want to play Fortnite? Yeah. And it's like, what's that? I don't know, but it's free, and I think that's the third thing, it being free.
Yeah, it being free.
If this wasn't
makes a big
free,
difference.
this would not be nearly as big.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because it eliminates the barrier of entry.
So when I first heard about Fortnite, I wasn't really into it because I thought it was always like a PUBG ripoff, for me at least. And
to an extent, it was.
Do you think it was?
Yeah. Well, so PUBG is like the problem that PUBG is having is it was sort of the originator of the battle royale thing.
The movie that came out was the originator, and it was based on
the movie. I'm talking about
gaming. Oh, okay.
And then, you guys going to say Hunger Games in there?
Hunger Games takes the battle royale thing,
film, and then it was based on that.
But PUBG had invented in games what Fortnite would become. And as such, they tried to sue Fortnite because they were like, "Hey, you stole our patent and
our genre. You stole the
genre of battle royale."
And the courts were like, "Nah."
I gotta give credit to Epic Games though. They made a full-fledged game, what was essentially a spin-off mode of their main game, which became bigger than the actual main game. Released it for free and perfected the formula. While at the same time, the company who kind of started it, the PUBG Corp or whatever it's called, is still in early access and hasn't perfected the formula.
Yeah, I think PUBG's big problem is that it just hasn't caught up.
Yeah,
that's
it's still stagnant. Fortnite's on season 6, something like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think
and
Fortnite
PUBG's
is
only on, I believe, mobile, Xbox, and PC.
Yeah.
You got Fortnite on literally everything.
Another thing is, like you said, it's free, so that's the big word.
I think the big problem is that I think the big problem that PUBG is having is it's sort of like an independent developer. I don't know if it's independent, but it's definitely
not. Sure, it's a South Korea.
Did Microsoft?
I don't think it was.
They didn't buy it, but I thought Microsoft partnered with them.
Money is different from people and talent.
Yes.
Not
Epic, working on it, but partnered, because that's now released early access on Xbox. So I believe there was a monetary partnership.
I think you're right. I just think that doesn't mean that they have like a good workflow.
Oh, absolutely.
Epic knows how to make video games.
They know how to make it addicting too. I think.
Yeah, and they know how to make a gripping game.
I think a lot of the color. It's just very vibrant colors that are fun to look at.
It's by the developers of League of Legends.
There was no way that this game wasn't like with the Battle Royale thing.
Mhm.
There's no way Epic making a Battle Royale game was going to fail for Epic.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Well,
way that was going to
I
happen.
don't think Epic knew Fortnite was going to be as big as it was. Because I remember watching I can't remember what year it was, the Spike Video Game Awards. I saw some teaser trailer for the main Fortnite game. And anytime I bring up the actual main Fortnite game to somebody who plays Fortnite, they're like, what's that? Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Because everybody just plays Battle Royale. The main Fortnite game was just doomed to be forgotten. It was this game that got delayed several times. It got announced in like 2013 and didn't come out until like last year.
Yeah.
And
Which is not that bad of a development cycle.
true, but at the same time, they said the game was close to finish, or like at least well in development at that time.
Yeah.
It had been delayed several times.
Yeah.
So the fact that it just came out, it was a tower defense game. People thought it was all right, and then it just got forgotten about. I don't know how a game like that just came out, got okay reviews, and disappeared, was able to have such a huge resurgence. Granted, it's not the same game.
Because they added a mode. Somebody picked up that mode and was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And then they told their friends, and then somebody noticed it. And here we
Skins
are.
as well, you get,
Yeah.
just everything that goes into the game is.
Yeah, I'm.
Well, and I think if Epic knew this was going to be as big as it was, they would not have released it for free.
I mean, here's the thing: they still made their money though with all the skins.
They made their money, but I don't think Epic, if they knew this was going to be this huge, that it would have been like 99 cents.
I don't think, like you said, it wouldn't have
like
been as huge if it wasn't free.
True.
I think you're
That's
right, but I think they wouldn't have released it for free, but they would have released it without microtransactions.
I think that was the whole Battle Royale thing was probably used to bolster interest in the main Fortnite game.
Oh yeah.
Turns
sure.
out it kind of backfired and made Battle Royale popular. People forget more about the main game.
Yeah. So yeah, Fortnite.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Let's
other games for 2018.
Yeah, let's move into. I think Fortnite says a lot about the state of where we are, just because of how it's going to influence developers moving on. I mean, you have Call of Duty Battle Royale, basically.
Blackout. I guess.
Yeah, the Blackout mode.
I'm sure Halo Infinite's
think-
going to have one.
I think Battlefield has one as well.
I'm sure they will. Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah. They confirmed it at D3, I believe.
So yeah, that's the thing. I think another thing.
You have Assassin's Creed Origins. There's some other games that have come out.
Assassin's Creed. Oh, you mean
You
Odyssey?
mean Odyssey?
Oh yeah, Odyssey.
Does Odyssey have a multiplayer battle royale?
I didn't think it had multiplayer. Period.
No. I know. I
No.
have. No. I was just saying that's another one that. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
It's a game that's coming out.
That would have been.
came out,
that would be
I think.
weird.
Yeah,
What, how do you feel about that? What if it was
I wouldn't want
an Assassin's Creed
No.
multiplayer?
The
I don't
Assassin's
even
Creed
play
multiplayer
Assassin's Creed.
in Brotherhood was okay. Every game after that did not have good multiplayer.
Interesting.
It's because they had a cool concept, but as we'll get into with multiplayer games, I don't trust the problem that these game developers have is like, oh, this is how the game is played, and they put it out to the public, and people just don't play the way it's supposed to be played. Like Team Deathmatch, it ends up just becoming everybody on their own.
Yeah.
And so I think with the state of gaming how it is now, games are bigger than they've ever been before.
Yeah.
Because people think, but they're comparing them to movies and everything.
Yeah.
Movies and, to an extent, television, well, specifically movies, have been around for over 100 years. TV's getting up there in age, too. Video games have only been around, really, since, like, the mid to late 80s. I mean, you had the Atari, but, like, that was really the only thing pre-80s that was...
Really
like,
got
actual
introduced
video games.
into homes, I want to say. Yeah.
Like the Atari was huge in the 70s, but video games didn't really become a national major thing until the NES.
Yeah.
I think that's when they really became real.
They became like something more than just the
hey,
Atari Pac-Man.
The Atari thing was really a toy. It was a
Yeah.
Christmas toy. NES is when it really became a pastime.
Yeah.
And with video games now, I feel like they're becoming... They're definitely more mainstream, and they've become sort of another mode of entertainment. It's not like, you're a gamer, you like playing video games. There are multiple genres and
we're the Cate-Cast and entertainment podcast. Games are one of the things that we talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not. I think you're definitely right in that sense that it's become an entertainment medium instead of just games.
Also, the way that you look at gamers nowadays isn't like the stereotypical gamers or geeks, and like they're sort of isolated and
Nerdy guy with glasses
socially inept.
Like,
Well, I think that term is starting to fade away too.
Like gamer?
Yeah, I mean, like
I think you're
people
right.
use that term as like a, the stereotype South Park in your mom's basement playing World of Warcraft kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's for people who are just really hardcore about it, whereas like people who are really hardcore about movies get the term nerd.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think, what the really hardcore people get. But in terms of, oh, I'm not a gamer, I only play Fortnite, or oh, I'm not a gamer, I only play Madden.
you play a game.
That's you're playing
play
a game, therefore you enjoy them. And I think that's, we're still finally getting rid of the stigma around video games.
Yeah.
For years and years, it was kind of just this nerdy underground 90s thing, or for children.
Yeah.
Now it's finally become mainstream enough, so where people like Jimmy Fallon could be talking about Fortnite.
Yeah.
That is
Or they,
unheard
or
of.
the Awesome Games Done Quick does a whole segment on Stephen
even
Colbert.
Conan O'Brien has a whole segment of playing video games every week or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
those are so funny. The one that he did for Battlefield 1, I think, with Terry Crews is fantastic.
It's
So
I think what's interesting with gaming now is that it's become big enough to almost similar to how movies is. Like you don't call somebody who enjoys movies a movier, like kind of like a gamer.
Yeah.
And I think it's because everybody has their own niche. Oh, I love science fiction movies, but some other people might really enjoy comedies more, or romantic movies more. I think that's the thing here with games now. Yeah, I mean, there's that, but that's for somebody who's really into
like more and more,
which is kind of where the gamer term.
But like you don't call like when somebody who goes to see a movie, you don't call them a movie goer. You just you say I want to go see a movie. That's it.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing with games is like, oh, I really enjoy Fortnite. It's my favorite game. Whereas somebody's just saying, oh, you are gamers, so therefore you must like every single game.
Yeah.
I really like games, but I don't like every single game.
Yeah. It's
And so many, it's just a wide variety of games nowadays.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
hard to
you
like
have
really...
you just search 2018 games, and you have just on this list alone: Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Red Dead 2,
4,
God of War 4, Fallout 76,
Smash.
Forza Horizon 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Battlefield 5, Smash Bros. Ultimate, Monster Hunter World, Dragon Ball Fighters. Just the list goes on and on.
I mean, there's
and
some
all
things
of
there
these
I
are
forgot.
so remarkably different from each other.
I even forgot some of these even came out this year because there's so many games.
Yeah, like I
God
thought
of War
Monster
even
Hunter
came out.
World was a friggin' 2017 game.
Soul Calibur 6 is this year?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting everything that's coming out.
Valkyria Chronicles 4 came out recently. Pokemon Let's Go,
Hitman,
Octopath Traveler,
Just
Just
Cause 4.
Dance,
Hitman 2? Man,
Just Cause.
I thought that was 2019.
Darksiders 3, Lego.
Darksiders 3 is getting delayed. That's not
is
coming
that
out this
right?
year. At least I think it's delayed.
Frick. Oh, never mind.
Well, I could be wrong about that.
Mega Man 11, Ni no Kuni 2 was this year. I forgot that Ni no
The main
Kuni
point
2 was
here
this year.
is that there is a game for literally anybody who likes any genre. It's not every video game is World of Warcraft or Fortnite or something
or
like
Call
that.
of Duty.
Or Call of Duty.
Yeah.
As
I
much
think
as-
that's the stereotype is that every game is Call of Duty.
That every game is just your generic. Like whenever you watch a movie and somebody is the gamer, it's always World of Warcraft or Call of Duty or something like a
Or
knockoff
Mortal
of
Kombat.
those. Or Mortal Kombat.
I think in Arrow, the scene where it was where like they were gaming was, I think it was either Mortal Kombat or Injustice.
Yeah, well,
that
it
they
could
were
have been
playing.
Injustice because that would have been kind of
That would have been amazing though
cool.
if they did
a
Injustice.
serious fourth wall break.
Yeah.
there.
Detroit-
I'm
Detroit
pretty
Kombat.
sure it was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I think it was Mortal Kombat X, I believe, or
Yeah.
XL, or
Which is surprising that they would put Mortal Kombat X on a CW show. But anyways, so let's move down the list here because the other thing I think that says something about the state of gaming is Telltale closed.
That is sad.
Yeah, it's sad. I was never a Telltale guy. I never played any of the Telltale games. But people love the stories that they would tell. Walking Dead is huge for the...
That first season of Walking Dead is one of the best stories in video games. It is fantastic. It's better than the last probably 6 seasons of the show of Walking Dead. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
And
You have the Batman Telltale.
it is very sad, the mismanagement of that company, because the products they turned out were always great.
Yeah, I mean...
with a few exceptions. But they were almost always great, and the fact that we're never going to get that Stranger Things game they were working on, we're never going to get a new season of Wolf Among Us.
We'll never get more Tales from the Borderlands or more Guardians of the Galaxy.
All we're ever going to get is, I would not be surprised if the same core concept of the Batman thing makes its way to WB. I wouldn't be
Oh,
surprised
no.
with that. And Skybound Games, or whatever it's called, Robert Kirkman's studio, is going to finish off the current season of Walking Dead.
Which, let's face it, Clementine is dead.
Well, she's going to buy it, for sure.
Yeah, there's no way that she survives the end.
Maybe
of the
not,
season.
because Robert Kirkman had a quote where he said, like, we've got to finish off this game. We can't lose Rick and Clementine in the same year.
Oh.
Connecting to the show, because Andrew Lincoln is leaving the Walking Dead TV show.
I think there's a good chance that Walking Dead is going to walk away from the season, from like our screens. After
I
this year.
think I think we'll probably, like, AMC will get cocky and do one more season, and it's going to completely fail. Because currently, the season premiere for this current season from last Sunday,
It's the lowest.
the
rated.
lowest since like season 1.
Man,
So it's
that's messed up.
yeah. So it's sad because the show had such great moments.
You just have to know when to end it. You just have to know when to
Yeah.
stop.
The show should have ended.
Which American television studios have no idea when that
There
is. By the
are
way.
very few shows that ever end. This is way off time. Very few shows that ever end when they should.
Breaking Bad was a good
Breaking
show.
Bad and Battlestar Galactica, the only two I
Battlestar.
can think of.
Yeah.
Even
I
Seinfeld,
think-
when we talked about Seinfeld, they sort of knew they were getting to near the end, and so that's when they stopped.
Yeah.
But the finale is.
So the other thing I think that the death of Telltale says is that I think games as like TV seasons is proven not to work.
It did work for Hitman. It has worked for Hitman so far, but I
Okay.
think the problem with the Hitman series that they're coming into with this one now is most people, at least people I've talked to, are waiting until these seasons are over.
Yeah.
And just picking up either the physical release or
Yeah.
just the complete season pack.
Yeah, that's my thing though. Is like take 3 or 4 years, release your whole package. I mean, this is what Sony has done with the 3 AAA games that they've released this year, right? Is like all of these games are just complete packages. Sure, Spider-Man is going to have DLC, but I felt like I was playing a whole game. I didn't feel like I was playing like a sixth of the game or whatever.
Well, and other games, look at this is a couple of years ago, but even before GTA Online launched, look at how many copies GTA 5 sold when it was just a single player game.
It was still one of the top selling games in June this year.
And that is counting GTA Online though. So
I'm sure, but like still, like that's massively
huge,
successful.
yes.
Like, yeah,
I think the thing I do want to bring up, and I know it's on your list, is games as a service.
yeah.
Because that is radically changing the state of video games as we know it.
Which makes me unhappy because the way the games as a service has been implemented so far has not been good. I really don't like how Street Fighter 5 does like seasons of DLC. Like I think that's kind of silly.
Yeah, I
like
don't
just
like
release your DLC.
I think it's just like, hey, we got new things, they're up in the store, check it out.
Yeah.
I don't like how it's like a planned announcement, almost like it's a new product. Now, for fighting games and multiplayer only games, I give it a little bit of a pass because these games, they're not really released to be a complete, like, experience. They're being released to be a consistent, updated product.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Smash Brothers for Wii U. That game existed to be a consistent update and keep people playing that game.
Which was kind of an inconsistent update, though.
If it was, but if the game exists to mostly be an esport or something like that, I give it a pass because it's meant to be kept.
This
updated.
is something that I actually liked about Dragon Ball FighterZ is I could expect a character update basically every 2 months, and I was like, okay, we have 8 characters that are coming out. The first DLC came out with 2 characters. And then I was like, okay, they're going to probably release 2 characters at a time. And then 2 months after that, they released 2 more characters.
Yeah.
After that, 2 more. After that, 2 more, right? And so it was very consistent. I really don't like games as service when I don't know what your schedule is.
Yeah, or when there's little to no like there's no actual guarantee you're even going to be getting anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's really no way to discuss games as a service without the absolute catastrophe that was Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Like, that game is an exact example of how you do not release a video game in 2018.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
Which it was 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a prime example
Same era.
of how you don't release a game.
Yeah.
That game got... When the campaign, they framed the whole marketing thing of, hey, we listened to fans. That was their whole frame of marketing this game. I was, for some stupid reason, I believed it. I was like, hey, they actually get this. Lucasfilm finally got to him.
I feel like whenever John Boyega says something, I'm inclined to believe it. That's what it is for me. Is like
they probably handed them a check and just said, "Hey, say this game is good on the commercial."
I don't know. He said that he plays the games.
Well,
like he loves
playing
the games.
it and thinking, "Oh, that's a whole other thing." But like, I'm sure he got paid a significant amount.
I'm sure he got paid something to do something.
Yeah.
Like
But I think with Battlefront 2, the main problem I had with that game is it didn't feel like a complete product. It didn't feel like a game. It felt like a product. It felt like I was being told, hey, play this game and give us money. It wasn't, hey, enjoy this game, and then, hey, if you like it, maybe give us a couple bucks to buy, I don't know, a new costume for Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It felt like it was expecting you to give them money to finish the product you already
on
spent
top
$60
of the $60.
On top of all the hours
That's
you
what
have to spend on
I
it.
will be okay with microtransactions in 2 situations. If it's a free-to-play game, or if it's a multiplayer-only game. Because multiplayer-only games and the DLC should not be released before 6 months of release. After 6 months, that's a rough time frame.
That's an interesting.
You should not have DLC that is released within 6 months of your game, because then it feels like it was deliberately held back. Like,
I don't know if I agree with that.
With the Call of Duty games, I almost guarantee you most of the DLC for those games is already made before the game even ships.
You're probably right. I'm sort of going on a game-by-game basis with that, I guess, because I think about it.
With single-player games, that's different, because I don't think the Black Cat DLC for Spider-Man, I don't think that was fully finished.
Yeah.
I don't think that back in the day with the Red Dead Undead Nightmare thing, I don't think that. And for like some character stuff, like Battlefront 2, they're clearly still working on some DLC for that because they freaked out.
I think an interesting thing though about DLC is that Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle hit sort of a really serious road bump because it was announced. And they were like, hey, we're doing this like 4-way crossover fighting game thing with characters from Blaze Blue, Persona,
the Jump Force,
and no, it's not Jump Force. It's a different thing because it's Arc System Works. Like it's 2 of the series that they've worked on. A series from French Bread, which is basically like pretty close to Arc System Works, and then Ruby, the show, the Rooster Teeth show. They partnered with them to put Ruby characters in the game. So they announced it. Everybody was pretty excited. I was excited. It's a cool concept. I liked Persona. I like Under Night. I like Ruby. I'm not that big of a BlazBlue fan, but I appreciate it for what it is. So they announced it, and then like 6 months before release or something, I don't remember quite when, they announced that there were going to be 20 characters in the base game. And then 20 characters that they were going to release after. Now, when I heard that, I was like, that probably means they're just rushing the game out the door. Because they probably wanted to have it for EVO, the huge fighting game tournament. So I understood their motivation, but I was kind of like, wow, why don't you just like wait 6 months? Because what would end up happening was they would have the DLC packs on day one, and they would like give them to the public for free for those like first 2 weeks, and then everybody else would have to pay for it. And then after EVO, I think they released like 2 more DLC packs after that before EVO, and those were part of the season pass, or you could just buy them individually. But then after EVO, they released the rest of the cast.
Well, keep in mind there is a difference between microtransactions and DLC.
I mean, but I still think it's like you're not really releasing an unfinished game, because if you release a game for full price, like, and it has all the features that you would still have, just not all of the characters necessarily. I don't have an issue with that. I just thought it was interesting because it felt like the game was sort of rushed out the door.
And it varies from game to game. There's no universal way. I think it also varies from studio. I do think Activision and EA both hold back content. I
think you're probably right.
I don't think it's up in the air on Ubisoft. I have no idea if they.
Ubisoft is so enigmatic to me. I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like they used to be kind of like predictable, and nowadays I have no idea what to predict with Ubisoft.
I'm just like. Yeah. You're gonna release this weird game about eagles flying? Okay, like
yeah, and like the Eagle Flight VR game.
Yeah, that weird VR game. Like,
I mean, like I want to get like Ahmad's perspective on this. I know you're not a huge gamer, but like when you hear about the whole, like, did you hear any about the Battlefront 2 controversy?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the game from a perspective of somebody who isn't as involved in the gaming space?
Yeah. Well, I remember one of my friends were really excited about the game, and then they got the game, and then the whole controversy happened, and then the next day they returned it, and I was like, wow, okay.
Wow.
I think the Battlefront games, from what I've seen the game, I really wish I could go back into gaming. Like, I just need time to game. That's all I do.
It does take time.
A lot of the gameplay from the first one looks amazing. Like, it looks like a really fun game.
Yeah, so the thing about the Battlefront games is they approximate the look of Star Wars incredibly.
Yeah, so it looks the gameplay is good gameplay.
Yeah, that's what. That's the one thing about me. I don't make time to play the games. But I do sometimes sneak in like viewings of the gameplay, which the gameplay looks really good. Battlefront 2. I mean, it still looks good. I thought it looked good from what
visually,
I saw.
it does look great.
Visually, it looked good.
It looks
but then
fantastic.
you have the whole Bitcoin or the whole controversy, the microtransactions thing, and I was like, that sounds really iffy. And like, if you don't, and for me, going back to like, I don't have time to play it. You have to put countless of hours if you don't want to pay.
I think it was either 200 some hours, 2,000 some hours, or whatever it was, or pay several $100s to get every single item in the game.
So that to me is just, I really just turned me off.
It is the way they played the whole Battlefront 2 thing was extremely dirty. Yeah. It felt like we were being used as customers, we were being used for money, not as paying customers.
So like what you said, it was a product, not something.
It was not a game.
It wasn't a game. It was more.
And the marketing has always been, oh, we care about Star Wars fans. This is a series that's transformed generations of children. It's been around for more than 40 years. Came out on the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. Not the date, but the same year.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Does this have anything to do with EA? Because I feel like EA does have
it definitely.
EA makes a lot of things products.
I think there's a very good chance that EA is in danger of losing Star Wars because of Battlefront 2.
After this, they talked about this, and I think it was on Wall Street Journal or something.
Yeah.
After this whole controversy, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, called up, I believe Andrew House is the CEO of EA.
Yeah.
Called him up and is like, you fix this and you do it now. Like, he basically said it to him. And I think they are potentially, I don't know how the contract works, but I think they are in danger of losing this license. If Battlefront 3 does not turn out to be an exceptionally popular game and do everything right, they're going to lose that license.
Yeah.
I'm really tempted. I think I might. Battlefront is one of the games that I might just actually buy the game and just kind of spend countless. I have no problem spending countless of hours on a game, but when you have to
play Spider-Man first.
Yeah, I think
so we can talk about it.
I will say for Battlefront 2, now EA, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt on if they're benefiting customers this time, because after the 2015 Battlefront game going into this new one, I thought it was fixed. Clearly, it was not.
Yeah.
I think
wait for the reviews.
Yeah, I would say for Battlefront 2, if you can find a used cheap copy at like a GameStop or something, which I don't trust GameStop either, but if you can find a cheap copy of it, they seem, at least DICE, the developer,
they're competent developers.
Yeah, DICE is a good developer, and it feels like they were not happy. It feels like there was a compromise between EA wanting to shove that in the game and DICE wanting to create a good product.
Yeah.
DICE seems to try to be making good on the promise that they had made.
Yeah.
The gameplay itself is great. It does have offline co-op now, and if you've got a buddy who want to play, who's a big Star Wars fan like you are, and you just want to play some offline co-op, it's fun, and they're consistently releasing maps and characters for free.
Wow.
The offline maps are not as big as the maps online. At least some of them aren't. Like the crate map from The Last Jedi is a much smaller version of the map.
Oh, wow.
And they just added, it wasn't available at launch, but they just added Fighter Squadron into the offline mode, and it is great.
Yeah,
so if you can find a cheap copy and you want to play offline, definitely check it out, but do not under any circumstances give them any money for the microtransactions.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing offline, you can still upgrade and play any character you want at any time.
Yeah.
That unlocking system only occurs for online characters.
Okay.
So even though Vader, Luke, Chewie, some other characters are locked, you can play as any character in the entire game offline free of charge.
Interesting. Okay. Wow.
So if you want to play it online, don't bother. If
Yeah.
you want to play it offline with some friends, or even if you're a Star Wars canon junkie, you got to keep up with the Star Wars canon. The story, while it's not great, it does give you some backstory as to what was going on with Han and Leia, and to an extent,
Luke.
Luke. Yeah, to an extent, Luke.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, it's if you find it cheap, consider it, but not for online.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move a little bit down the list here. I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about licensed games? Spider-Man was great. Dragon Ball FighterZ was great.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the few things in the gaming world that is actually improving rather than de-evolving.
Yeah, I think I'm really happy with. I don't think all licensed games are great. Like I played the Naruto game that came out the PvP Naruto game that came out, and I liked it for what it was, but it just didn't really grip me.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball FighterZ, I play that competitively. It's really fun. I think like the game is huge. For fighting games, that game is massive.
The big the big catalyst as to what's changing this, I think, is not necessarily the budgets in these games.
Yeah.
I believe the big catalyst is actually forgotten a lot about. I think it's smartphones.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, these big licensed games were always created to cash in on the release of a movie. You'd always have, I don't know, it was Toy Story, the video game, The Punisher, the game, Spider-Man, the video game, even though some of those are great, Spider-Man's a great game. But not the Spider-Man PS4, that's a great game, but Spider-Man, 2002 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They were always created as just a cash-in on the release of a movie, especially during the NES and Super NES, and Sega, especially the Sega Genesis era. They were always just cash-ins on movies. Now it feels like all these cash-in things to just tie in
They've
release.
just moved into smartphones.
They moved on to the App Store. So you have your short $2 beat-em-up game that'll come out on the App Store, and that'll be their way of cashing in.
There's that Marvel fighting game that's on the App Store.
I believe a knockoff version of Injustice, or a smaller version of Injustice, and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And
I haven't played a smartphone game in a while.
The only ones that I would ever actually consider great is bringing it back to Epic Games. I believe it's Epic Games. The Infinity Blade trilogy.
Oh, yeah,
is really good. It's simple gameplay, but graphically, what they can do on an iPhone looks almost as good as like a late PS3 game.
Yeah.
So, but I think the licensed games now, if they're going to do a licensed game on consoles, it's not going to be.
They just hand it to a good developer.
Hand it to a good developer and say, "Hey, do what you want with this, as long as you make it good."
Yeah.
They're no longer hacked, rush, get this out in 6 months to tie in with the release of a movie.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't really
I
matter.
am so
anymore.
glad that Activision does not have the Spider-Man franchise anymore.
Yeah, they were running that into the ground.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
And because in recent years we've gotten Spider-Man PS4, we've gotten the Batman Arkham trilogy.
Yeah.
We've got what are some other ones we've had?
So Dragon Ball FighterZ is a perfect example of this. Bandai Namco just has the Dragon Ball license basically to do whatever they want with.
Yeah.
The only condition is that they have to release a game a year. I think is what they is.
One
basically,
game a year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow, that's
which is intense, right?
Yeah.
But so they were just probably thinking like, what game do we do for 2018? And they just like went to Arc System Works and were like, hey, you guys are good fighting game developers. Make us a fighting game. And they made a great 3v3 tag Dragon Ball fighting game out of it.
I think a great studio to take a look at with the licensed games is actually Warner Brothers Interactive Studios.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've hit the key formula, and I'm surprised not many other studios have picked up on what they're doing. Warner Brothers clearly saw that video games were becoming a big force in the market.
Yeah.
They made a studio and said, we have this huge back catalog of characters and series. We take them, do an original story in games, and give an actual budget with people who know what they're doing, they'll make tons of money.
Batman.
The Batman trilogy, or I guess Origins, Arkham Saga, the Mad Max game. They allegedly are working on a Harry Potter game.
South Park has a pretty good
The
game.
South Park games, the recent ones have been great.
Yeah. I'm just...
The Deadpool game, I believe, is slightly underrated. The voice acting by Nolan North is good. The gameplay is repetitive, but the voice acting is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never played the Deadpool game.
Yeah.
And tying it back to Telltale, every game they pretty much released was a
Is a
licensed
licensed
game.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walking Dead games. Yeah.
Or Telltale.
Or Telltale.
Yeah, I think the state of licensed games is really good right now. Like the
GoldenEye.
original GoldenEye 007. Like
That was the top.
that's the
And actually, a movie tie-in, not even a license.
Yeah,
just
the
a movie
movie
tie-in.
tie-in.
You don't see
despite
that
coming
happen,
out
yeah.
2
Yeah.
years after the movie came out. But,
Oh my
yeah.
god! Let's talk about the ET game they made.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was basically. So for people out there who are not gamers, we kind of touched on this earlier, but video games that would come out to release with a movie are always notoriously garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say garbage is because there's an infamous story. Which, Ezra, have you heard the whole story before? About what happened with E.T.?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I see, I'm not a-
So what happened was E.T. notoriously bad video game.
Came out
Like,
with
oh,
the Nintendo
because,
Entertainment
like,
System.
you look at the gameplay from that game and you're like, what?
They
How in
weren't
the world am I watching?
because they did it in such they pumped it out so fast.
Yeah,
They
Like,
just
what,
threw it out
6
there.
weeks or something?
6
like that?
weeks they just threw it out there.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
And it was horrible. Yeah.
It doesn't even look like E.T.
Yeah.
So
Oh
anyways,
my gosh! Should I pull up
It
some
looks like a
pictures?
giraffe. Like a
Yeah.
really
Oh my
good.
God.
Yeah,
Oh, it looks like
so,
it looks like a mutated
I think
giraffe.
it was like 3 or 4 years ago or something. They dug up this
Yeah.
site and they found a whole ton of
Yeah.
ET games because it was like a garbage
Yeah.
disposal.
So
thing.
there was a legend for many years that because the game did not ever
Oh
sell,
my god!
they took out every game they had in the warehouse because nobody was going to sell it and just buried it in New Mexico in a desert because nobody else was going to buy it. And it was always a legend that nobody really believed. And then somebody paid some excavation crew and dug up all of these ET cartridges in the desert in New Mexico, and there's actually one in a museum.
and there's
now.
like tons of footage.
And it's
of
hilarious
it.
that actually happened. They're like,
Yeah.
nope, we're not just going to sell these or break them or
Video
recycle
games
them.
are amazing.
We're going to bury them in the desert.
I love video games, guys.
Oh my
It's so
God.
cool.
And so that ever since
oh,
E.T.,
wow.
and there were games for it, but
Yeah.
E.T. is probably the worst game ever made. And there are now, since E.T., most games that were released to capitalize on the popularity of a movie were always poorly made,
premise
rushed
of
jobs.
The premise of the game was horrible too. I mean, I can try
Yeah.
to remember. It was just
Other notorious examples of bad movie tie-in games or just bad movie games in general: Superman, Superman,
Oh
Nintendo
my
64,
God,
Superman
yes.
64. What was
Yikes.
that really bad Spider-Man one that came out? There was
There
really-
are plenty of bad.
Okay,
Spider-Man
well,
games.
the most infamous example.
I
of it.
have no idea.
Well, the most recent one, Amazing Spider-Man 2, that tie-in game I heard wasn't great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I usually think of them as more mediocre than anything. Like they're like movie tie-in games are always just like
They're by
sort
the
of a
numbers.
mediocrity,
Yeah.
not in actual, like actually
if I know
bad
these
stuff. Spider-Man 2 was always pretty well regarded as a pretty good Spider-Man game.
The Silver Surfer game for the NES was ridiculously hard, I heard, but I haven't played it.
yeah.
Man, I want them to do like a Silver Surfer game.
No, but the Superman Nintendo 64. I was watching some gameplay and
That's
this
a
physics.
train wreck.
The physics were horrible. It was bad. It was just.
I hope we get a good
Um,
Superman game eventually, because
yeah.
there aren't many.
I hope
Yeah.
Rocksteady is working on a good Superman game. That's all I hope.
Now, I've actually heard, I haven't played it myself, but I did hear that the Superman Returns tie-in game was actually pretty cool, but I haven't played that one.
I
I'll have to
haven't
check
played
that
it at
out.
all. I didn't even know that they released it.
I didn't know for a very long time they did either. It's for Xbox 360.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Licensed games. I was thinking of something. I do think the one exception is that I feel like anime games are really coming to their own before 2018.
Yeah.
Like-
That's a byproduct of Steam.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right. But like anime tie-in games, like the Naruto Storm series, like
Jump. So they have Jump.
yeah,
Superstars.
like the Jump Force stuff. Like I feel
Valkyrie
like there's a
Chronicles.
niche for them,
Yeah.
and I think that they're successful for what they are. I
Perso-
think there's still
Persona.
yeah. Well, so Persona's not an anime tie-in; it's just its own series.
Okay.
Like they have literal anime, like
Converse.
anime spin-off series that they do.
I think
yeah.
the big thing now, and I think the internet is the thing most responsible for this, is that there really is no hidden sub kind of niche audience anymore.
Yeah.
Everything is now becoming mainstream because everyone can hear about it with the
Fortnite.
push of a
And
button.
everybody
Fortnite's an example
has
of
a
that.
voice too.
Everybody has a voice, and anybody can find the group that really likes this genre.
Yeah.
For many decades, it was nobody would talk about science fiction because it was, except for Star Wars, because it was this really nerdy subculture thing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Infinity War is the highest grossing film of the year and grossed over $1 billion at the box office. Just, I believe, in the United States alone.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
yeah.
remember the
Fact
actual
checker.
numbers. Fact checker.
But it is incredible that that's actually happened. And
Yeah.
I think nowadays, even with like anime, used to be a really, really subgenre in the United States.
Super niche.
And like,
And
it
now you
wasn't-
have,
with the exception of like Akira or Akira for
Yeah.
you purists, it was
I love
I think
the
even
only,
purists will call it Akira.
well, it's really the only anime that ever broke even semi-mainstream in the United States, with the exception of Ghost in the Shell and
Yeah.
Pokemon. I guess Pokemon was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of theatrical releases, Akira. And nowadays, you've got Dragon Ball movies coming out in theaters. You've got
Yeah.
Death Note doing huge numbers on
Netflix.
You had
Yeah.
the disappointing Ghost in a Shell live
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. Now we're seeing like Hollywood adaptations of anime. Like,
Yeah. Well,
we've come full circle.
ones that are we've come at least full circle from being atrocious, like Last Airbender, which I know it really isn't an anime, but I'm counting it.
It's
as
an
that.
anime.
And Dragon Ball Evolution, which was garbage.
Yeah.
So at least now we're getting mediocre adaptations like
Yes.
Ghost in the Shell.
We'll get good ones.
Yeah.
They'll happen.
Hopefully they'll lead a
Well,
bad
there was
anyways.
nothing wrong with Ghost in the Shell. But it
Licensed
was,
games.
Yes, licensed game.
Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with licensed games right now. I think.
So I'm sorry, I just got this.
Yeah.
So Infinity War, $678 million domestically.
Was the domestic total.
Yeah.
Also, it was global $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think there's ever. I don't know why I thought
No,
it was
worldwide
billions.
it was $2 billion.
$2
So,
billion worldwide. Okay.
$2 billion. Wow.
Yeah.
Frick.
Domestically, $678 million. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And that's not
so
even
much
counting.
money.
That's not even counting home video.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
like all the DVD,
Blu-ray and digital. all
Digital.
You
all
know,
those.
can you look up its production cost?
I think
Probably
it's
on there.
124 million. I mean, I'm not saying.
Wait, it's. Oh, I thought it was back on that. Oh, it hasn't been announced.
Oh wow.
Yeah, not,
Really?
not available.
Wow.
Apparently,
wow.
I heard it
Oh,
was
you know what?
500 million.
They were probably filmed at the same time, so they're like they can't say how much the budget was
No.
for the first one because
reportedly
for-
it was 500 million, which
Wow.
is wow. But that's I
man.
doubt that, but that's what like a report.
Probably
came out.
half of that
Yeah.
was Robert Downey Jr.'s.
Oh, I would not be surprised if
Yeah.
it was.
So, anyways, let's go down to. I wanted to talk. We have 15 minutes. Single player games, I think, are in a great place right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad because that's the only kind of game I'll play.
Yeah. Spider-Man, fantastic.
God of War.
God of War, everybody is saying that that's probably their game of the year.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, people are loving that
And
game.
Finally, that series is getting back on top.
Yeah.
Finally.
Um,
I guess Origins got started that. But
Monster Hunter World, Far Cry 5.
Far Cry 5.
kind of fell off the map.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
Did it?
Yeah.
Tomb Raider came out. Detroit.
Red Dead Redemption 2. That's kind of
Red
a big
Dead
one.
2.
Yeah.
Red Dead 2 is also going to be like multiplayer.
Well, it hasn't been announced yet.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Has Red Dead 2 not have multiplayer now?
Well, I didn't look up any of them, so it could be. Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, Shadow. Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Rise of the Tomb Raider was 20.
And Detroit Become Human. That's. I wanted to briefly mention that because those types of games are
Games as movies.
well, kind of those kind of extremely story-based games.
Yeah.
Like God of War has a lot of gameplay. Detroit is not really a gameplay-based game.
Yeah.
And I think going back to what I was saying about things no longer being exactly a niche genre, Detroit Become Human is essentially a really like interesting story-focused with a lot of
It's
heavy
a drama.
messages. It's basically
It's sort
a drama
of a sci-fi drama,
with
basically.
essentially just contextual button presses.
Yeah.
And that game I saw ads for during like primetime television.
Oh, yeah.
Which it is insane that a game like that is getting, which is so we used to be so niche like Indigo Prophecy or Heavy
Yeah.
Rain, is now going to be a big centerpiece at E3 or is on primetime commercials.
Yeah,
It is
that's
insane.
so.
It brings
we
up
have
an
come
interesting
really
topic
far.
of games on like on TV, on daytime TV, and on like ESPN
Oh, yeah.
channels.
I mean, there's IGN now has spots on Disney XD now.
Yeah.
Like it is insane.
Yeah, the industry has come really far.
Yeah.
I do feel like I hope that we don't get too many games like Detroit because I still want to play video games.
Absolutely, but I do think it's a genre that should. I think there's a place for that genre.
Oh yeah, I definitely. Same with like the visual novel genre and all of that. Like
I think that it's all of these genres. Every genre in games is only going to grow. Anybody who says single player games are dead, they're not dead. They're just taking a new form.
Anybody who says consoles are dying,
no,
I don't. I used to say that I thought we were in the last 2 generations of consoles.
I'd like to see something. I'd like to see something
right.
better, I guess. Because we moved on. Remember how we were cartridges and then we moved on to digital. I mean,
I want to see.
That's the most exciting time when that sort of shift to something.
I want to see more parity between consoles.
I want to see that, and I don't think, going what you were saying, Mud, I don't think this next generation is going to be that big leap. I think it's going to be the one after.
After it. So
what do you think? Next generation is going to kind of be almost a half step. Because in terms of graphics, I don't know how much higher we can get.
How much better can we get?
Especially within price range, because I know the GTX 2080s just came out, the graphic chips.
The new graphic
and there's no way to put that in a console and make the console even cheap enough, even if they were selling it like underpriced for like making a profit, it would still be a ridiculously expensive console.
But that's what people said 20 years ago. I mean,
look at the PS3. The PS3 launched $600 and it didn't catch up until like 2011. So
But no, I think there's so you're right. But there's definitely improvement. There's definitely more room for improvement, I guess. And there's
graphically, I think it's going to be stagnant. I think what I see consoles becoming is much more like the PC architecture. Like the Xbox One runs basically on Windows 10. It's essentially what it runs on. Yeah. I would not be surprised if in the future it becomes we're already getting regular software updates. I think digital downloads are going to become a much more mainstream thing. You're going,
I just want like a
VR
service.
I
just want like a sellback service and digital stuff, and I'm happy.
And they should not be launching digital only games at $60. The reason the games are $60 is because of the packaging and shipping.
Well, I don't think
should be $40 on.
Yeah, I think the last guys with that was Octopath Traveler. They released that for $60, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Well, and now there's like the Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which is it's a really big. It's not a AAA game, but it's kind of like a double A game almost.
Okay.
It was released for $30 on Steam, and they announced it's getting a physical release through Microsoft for the Xbox One and 505 Games for PlayStation, because Microsoft bought Ninja Theory, and so but they're not going to publish on a Sony console.
$30 online.
Yeah, and the digital physical release is going to still remain $30, which granted that's probably also because the game's already been out since like 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
Still though,
I think Hellblade was a winner, was like a nominee for Game of the Year last year.
He won a BAFTA, actually. I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a great game. Pick it up.
I haven't played it.
We winner of 3 awards.
Yeah. So that's single player games.
The performance capture on that game is brilliant. Talking about single player games, those are the kinds of games I want more of. As much as I love these big AAA games like Spider-Man and God of War,
I just want more Spider-Man games.
Like the developer mentioned, he called it a double A game. It's not your AAA big budget, everything is exploding kind of game, but it's not your really low budget on the 5th page of the Steam release kind of catalog thing. This is kind of your double A, modest budget. It's gonna make its money back, but it's not gonna be on every commercial.
It's your Oscar nom indie film.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's kind of your video game, your video game.
It's an obscure.
It looks like video game Oscar bait. Is what it
honestly,
looks
that's kind of what it was. But it's when you look deeper into it, it's got much more layers than just video game Oscar bait. The gameplay itself it's kind of like it's that over the shoulder kind of cam like Gears of War had.
Oh,
but think of the gameplay of the God of War reboot. That's kind of what you got here. But it's got an interesting layered story about, I think she's either Irish or Scottish, and it goes into their mythology. But as it goes into it, it shows her starting to kind of lose her mind because she lost somebody. So it's kind of, is this really here, or is she starting to lose her mental health? And it's these Irish and Scottish mythological beings.
Norse, kind of.
Yeah.
It dabbles in Norse, but it's mostly Irish and Scottish.
Okay.
And as it gets into that, she becomes much more, disillusioned, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out. It is one of the most unique games in a while. And I believe beginning of 2019, it'll be maybe it's December of this year. I don't know. Within the
Physical
next couple
release.
months, it's going to have a physical release on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But it is already available digitally on both those platforms and on Steam and goodoldgames.com.
Nice. Yeah, single player games in 2018.
They're doing good. It only gets better from here.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Last point I think that's sort of required is a multiplayer State of the Union.
Yeah. I think we already downloaded that before Fortnite.
I have to say, I think Fortnite is the only good thing I have to say about multiplayer in 2018.
Because they're almost all the same.
Yeah.
I have no reason to pick up Black Ops 4 because that game looks like every other multiplayer only game.
Yeah, I don't want to play multiplayer games in 2018. I was like, I played.
So you have Fallout 76.
Yeah, Destiny 2 came out last fall.
Yeah.
I played that. I liked it for what it was. I thought it was a really great improvement over the release of the first game. After that, I fell off. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
My dad still plays it, sort of. He hasn't even, like... I was talking to him, and I was like, you want me to buy the DLC, like the Forsaken stuff? He was like, man, wait for Christmas. And I'm like, wow, that says something about how much that game has fallen off for the two of us. Because it's like, I don't care about it anymore. I used to care about it. I used to sort of like dip in and out of it, but I used to care about it. I don't care about it at all anymore.
That's kind of with this new trilogy of Star Wars.
Oh no.
It's too late in the podcast to get into that. I just think multiplayer games... Well, for one thing, multiplayer... I think we need to distinguish like couch co-op multiplayer from online multiplayer. Because like... Fighting games are still fighting games. People are still playing fighting games. Like it's...
Well, and you also have to make the distinguish. There's a difference between games like Destiny and Fallout 76, which still have a built-in story component and exploration
and
component.
still single player.
Yeah. And, well, you can play... You can't play offline on your own like a single-player game, but you don't have to play...
Fallout 76 you can.
You can?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know. But like there's those kinds of games where there's still a built-in story component and... actual elements of a regular game in that, which is different from a multiplayer game like Black Ops 4 or the multiplayer component of Battlefield 5, where it's just, or I guess even Fortnite, where it's just, I guess a better example is Fortnite and Black Ops 4, where it's just going to be the same gameplay loop, there's not much to it, and then once you get bored of it, you're done. There's not really much to it, whereas Fallout 76, I can tell is already going to have legs.
I will say, Monster Hunter World, great. People love it. I never got into it. Monster Hunter is just not my thing. Anytime I play a Monster Hunter game, I'm just like, what am I playing? I'm just like, I don't care about this.
It looks too convoluted.
It's not even about the story for me. It's just like the gameplay.
I didn't mean story, but the gameplay looks complicated.
I'm so disenchanted with the gameplay because it's just not what I want from a game. But people loved it. People still love it. I think on the opposite end, Sea of Thieves had a disastrous launch.
Yeah.
Nobody liked that game. I forgot that it came out this year.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem. You either do huge numbers or you fail. There's no in between with these multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Which is why, with this already how huge Fortnite is, I think that with the market already, and think about this fall, you're gonna have Battlefield 5, Black Ops 4. You already have Fortnite in the ring. Red Dead Online, and which I know is probably not going to be available until probably like Christmas. But still, that's coming out this year. And what are some other ones that are coming out?
Battlefield, Red Dead,
still coming out.
Fallout,
Total War Arena.
Fallout 76.
People are definitely playing Total
And then
War
your FIFAs, your Maddens, your all that stuff.
Forza Horizon 4.
Your 2K.
Also part of
all these games are going to be coming out competing for players at the same time. Yeah. Most of them with the same gameplay audience, with the exception of the sports games, because they have their own audience.
Yeah, sports games are sort of like a different thing.
With your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, Fortnites, Red Deads, they all have the same audience, and they're all launching at the same time.
Yeah.
There is no way, competing with Fallout and games that are already out, like Far
Yeah.
Cry and what was the other one we mentioned?
Sea of Thieves,
Sea of Thieves and
Monster Hunter.
no, that's
It's Fallout 76.
no.
Battlefield.
Go back. Go back. Fact checker. Go.
FIFA, Battlefield,
Fallout,
Far
Call of
Cry,
Duty,
Far Cry.
Monster Hunter,
I
Dragon
it's
Ball
on the top of my head.
Fighters.
Well,
I'm gonna just start naming games: Mario Party,
Yeah.
Forza Horizon 4,
regardless, any multiplayer
Smash
game that's
Bros,
already come
Metal
out this
Gear
year.
Survive.
That game fell off hard.
Yeah.
That game fell off
I
real
forgot
hard.
that game came
Kirby
out.
Star
I was
Rail.
like, frick.
Allies.
I saw that. I
Just
saw a review
Dance.
for that game. I saw the IGN review for that game. I think they gave it like a 4 or something.
That game is a nothing game. It is
Yeah.
not Metal Gear. It is not. Konami needs to just end the Metal Gear series because
Honestly,
yeah, without
it-
Kojima, it's nothing.
honestly, yeah.
Dang.
Like honestly,
Just give the Metal Gear series to Kojima.
Well-
Or maybe he just doesn't want to play it. Do it.
well,
anymore.
Kojima has been saying since the third game that he didn't want. I think it was actually since the third game that he didn't want to do it anymore, and he still did 3, Peace Walker 4, and 5. So
Wow.
he's been saying it each installment
Yeah.
since 3.
Kojima, I really want Kojima to get everything that he's been thinking about out of his system with Death Stranding, so he can make a story that makes sense.
And speaking of single player games, Death Stranding, that game is
Yeah.
probably going to be fantastic, and I'm looking forward to it.
I don't even know if I'm going to play that game.
Oh, I'm gonna play it, and I'm probably not gonna understand what happened for at least a month after that game.
Yeah.
But
That game is going to be so wacky. I don't even know
like
how.
Amon, later on, same for the viewers too. But Amon, here you're gonna want to check out the trailer for Death Stranding because
You have to find the right trailer though.
The right
because
trailer.
Because
Yeah.
there's a walking simulator trailer,
which
in
was
that.
essentially
That was-
existed
that
just to
was
show
the
off the new what was it ray scaling from
Oh, is that
video or
it?
something like it was. It was created that the walking simulator trailer to show off the landscapes.
Huh.
It wasn't really a gameplay
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, we have yet to actually see gameplay.
We
from
have
that game.
no idea what this game is, and it's
Yeah.
only allegedly a few months off.
Wow.
And we have no idea
What?
what the game is.
Interesting.
A few months away.
Allegedly.
I think that's
A few months-
This game is not coming out until 2020.
2020.
There is no way this game
I'm
is
guessing
coming out in 2019.
at the earliest summer 2019.
Also, Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima have been trying to work on a game together for so long.
Well, and that goes back to the Metal Gear thing. Konami has canceled so many great games because just due to pettiness, and I hate it.
Yeah.
They're just Konami is so petty and stubborn, and it makes me furious. I could go on a Konami rant for an entire
Do it.
episode. Because so Konami in like
Oh no,
20.
what have I unleashed?
Yeah, Konami in like 2015, they fired Hideo Kojima for currently unknown reasons, air quotes,
Wow.
and it was apparently they weren't getting along. He'd been wanting out for years, and they actually took his name off the box for Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom
Wow.
Pain. But I kind of and Kojima's like.
Definition of pettiness right
Koji-
there.
So Kojima got back with kind of a screw you thing. So before every single mission, it says directed by Hideo Kojima in the game. It's just
Wow.
hilarious.
Wow.
But they did this, and then they also canceled every other project he was working on. Namely, that game that came out, Silent Hills, that PT thing that came out on
Yeah.
PlayStation Store and all
Well,
that.
which is Silent Hills
What that
was
was.
the sequel to that PT.
Well, it was PT was essentially PT
A
stood
demo,
for
basically.
playable trailer. That's what I
Yeah.
was saying.
Hmm.
And so that game was going to star Norman Reedus, be co-written by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro, and directed
That's
by
right.
Hideo Kojima. That game would have been amazing, and it's gone because of the beef with Kojima and
Konami.
And so all we've gotten since that beef was a Metal Gear Survive game and a patchy slot version of Metal Gear Solid 3. Let me cover both of those here. Patchy slot is essentially a slot machine in Japan.
Yeah.
They recreated beautifully, and I showed you this earlier.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why. Every cutscene from Metal Gear Solid 3, one of the best games I've ever played, they recreated it in the Fox engine, which is the graphics engine they use for Metal Gear Solid 5, and it looks beautiful.
They look
If they made a
markedly better.
remake of that game, Metal Gear Solid 3, in the Fox engine, I would buy it immediately. Now, I'll wrap it up here, but the long story short, that game, they did that, and that infuriated fans because Metal Gear Solid 3 is a fan favorite. And then Metal Gear Survive, it was some weird game. So Metal Gear's always been about covert espionage. Metal Gear Survive is you essentially, when Mother Base gets destroyed in Metal Gear Solid 5, a wormhole opens, apparently, sucks a bunch of nameless soldiers onto an alternate dimension where crystalline zombies chase them down in what is essentially 4-player online co-op. That does not sound like Metal Gear at all. Because
it does
it's
sound
not.
like Hideo Kojima.
He has nothing to do with this one, and what makes me just think that this is what shows that this was clearly a hack job on this game. The map they used for the alternate dimension, which is supposed to be a weird alternate universe, is the Afghanistan map from Metal Gear Solid 5 with some fog around it. That is the same map as Afghanistan from MGS5, just reused in this. And all of the assets are the same. I'm pretty sure all the costumes are the same, and all the voice acting sounds exactly the same. There is no story that connects to the main chronological series, and there is no one from Kojima Productions involved in this game.
Nice.
It is absolutely terrible. I am a huge Metal Gear fan, as you can probably tell from my rant here. I love this series, and the fact that Konami has taken this once amazing story-based single-player game and turned it into a slot machine and a 4-person online co-op game about zombies.
I can understand your outrage.
It is
I will say, though, it is very heartwarming to see Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima on stage together, and Norman Reedus seems to love this guy so much because he's just got his arm around him like this, and he's like, "Yeah, we're working on a game together."
Kojima is absolutely insane, but he is brilliant. Yeah, it is one of the great. Yeah.
What was that E3? It was like 2014, 2015, something. He came out, he walked out after the Death Stranding trailer, and was like, "I'm back." And everybody applauded. And we were all like,
that's also a Metal Gear in joke, too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. But the only other industry developer who I think can do that is when Shigeru Miyamoto walks out on stage.
Oh, definitely.
He's the only other person who has that kind of pull.
But he's just like hanging out at this point. Like Miyamoto is just like, yeah, I make games.
At Ubisoft's E3 when he came out for that, when Star Fox was in Starlink.
I don't think I actually saw that.
And he was just like, did like this wave and said like, "Hello," and everybody just like lost their minds. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, I'd love to meet Miyamoto at some point. He's they all the cast of the Nintendo, like the people who work at Nintendo Studios, they all seem very happy.
Yeah. Nintendo seems like a good company to work at.
Yeah, I feel like it must be awesome to be Reggie Fils-Aimé.
And I'll give Nintendo credit; they always try something new. With the exception of Mario, but.
They've done something new with basically every new Mario game that they make, except for the new Mario review.
I'll give Nintendo credit; they do stuff new. Every console they take has got something new on it. And it's always different.
They're considerate. They consider their fans, and that's what kept them alive.
Nintendo plays to their fans. Yeah. I think the big issue with the Wii U is that they didn't play to their fans.
Yeah. Well, that, and I think also marketing it as the Wii U, just maybe people get confused. Is this a peripheral for the Wii? Yeah. Is this a new console? What is it?
2018.
Yeah.
I wrote a whole essay on this, and you're not right. Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah. The Wii U's not a bad system either.
Yeah.
It's got great games. I think it's a pretty bad system. It's just got.
The gamepad was a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. Let's.
We'll have
a Wii U special at some point.
I don't know how long it's gonna last.
So that was the Cate-Cast, episode 4. We've been doing this for a month. Actually, more than a month, because we recorded on episode 0. And we're going to release at some point, just not right now.
Cate-Cast episode 4, A New Hope.
New Hope. Obligatory like and subscribe. I'll say that every week. Any announcements? Anybody? Last minute?
Coming out in, probably, it'll be available on Halloween, BGSU's 48-hour film festival. At least myself, on my channel, will have a 48 up. I don't know about Ezra and Ahmad here.
I'll be making a 48 this time around, and this time we'll actually try to place. So,
and I'll make sure I drop the links in the. I'll put the links in the description of whatever the video following that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because actually, I think we record on that same night.
We record on that night. Yeah. We will record on Halloween.
Yeah, that'll be our Halloween special.
Yeah,
Record that.
exactly.
Yeah, and then we're gonna run right to the screening.
Yeah, just literally right to the
Casper the Friendly Ghost and
I'm gonna
Halloween
talk
Town
about
and friggin'
some interesting things. We should have like a whole episode, not just everything else TV.
I might just like not bring.
Or we could
bring
have,
bring a topic
we could
that
have-
week
yeah.
and just let you two go.
so we could have-
because I won't be able to talk about
There should be no
anything.
structure. It should just be.
we could have
everything.
TV
Just
shows,
Halloween.
horror TV shows, games that have been like in the horror genre, I guess, and we could movies. So it could be.
Or we just do a free-form
Or,
Halloween
yeah, just-
special where
yeah.
we just talk about whatever
horror
we
movies.
want.
Yeah, that works.
Regardless, that was the Cate-Cast.
Yes.
That was the Cate-Cast. I have to leave soon.
You gotta catch that bus.
Yeah, that bus, man. 9:45. I'm on a schedule.
Yeah. I have to go write this research essay.
Oh, frick.
Sleep.
I'll probably next week. I think I'm gonna bring The World Ends with You Final Remix because that comes out at midnight.
Are we telling the viewers what we're bringing next week?
We don't have to.
Oh, okay.
But,
Well, viewers, your homework is to
play Spider-Man PS4.
Play every single game we just talked about.
all that, and leave in the comments some things you would like us to talk about, because maybe some of us really enjoy the same things. So
Yeah.
if there's something you're like, hey, I want to hear these guys talk about X-Men, put it in the comments.
Oh yeah, we do need to do an X-Men
Give us some
special.
feedback.
We have so many movie category specials and no TV category
Oh,
specials.
trust me, I can get
We're
you
gonna
some TV
have.
specials.
I'm sure.
We were really close to having a Teen Titans.
Yeah, we were really close to that. I still think we could do that.
We can.
We have enough to talk about with
You
Teen
give
Titans.
me some episodes for me to watch, and I'll be able to jump in.
Yeah. No, but
I
we'll
can
have,
just give you the whole series.
with the specials, we have to make sure all of us are
Yeah,
have
all of
seen,
us,
have
all of
known
us
well.
can talk about
That's
it.
it.
Well,
Anyways, that was the Cate-Cast episode 4. I'm Ezra.
I'm Ahmad.
I'm Sawyer.
Where can they find us?
Now, due to Twitter's weird algorithm, they flipped it, so it's at CastCata, at CASTCATE on Twitter.
All
and
right.
YouTube, you're already there. So
Yeah. We are working on getting on other services like iTunes, Spotify. We'll update you on that next episode.
Won't probably be any time before November, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, that was the 4th episode. I'm glad we made it this far. And,
we're getting longer each week.
Yeah. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Just keep making this longer and longer.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.